Right now, someone is trying to push your buttons. Someone is testing your patience. Someone is betting on your reaction. But what if I told you that the greatest power you possess isn't in the fight, it's in the calm? This book will show you, step by step, how to stay unshakable, how to move through chaos with precision, and how to turn every attack, every insult, every distraction into your advantage. Stop reacting. Start mastering. By the end of this hour, you will never lose your cool again. Stop talking. Stop reacting. Stop assuming. Right now, your greatest weapon in life is not your mouth. It's not your argument. It's not your clever comeback. The silent weapon of observation is your edge. That's the key. See it all, say nothing, control everything. Most people live life half blind. They react to what they think is happening rather than what actually is happening. They make assumptions, jump to conclusions, and respond emotionally. They hear words, but they miss the meaning. They see faces, but they miss the intent. And because of this, they are constantly outmaneuvered, constantly outsmarted, constantly frustrated. That ends today. Let's get one thing straight. Observation is not passive. Observation is active. It requires discipline. It requires focus. It requires the refusal to be drawn into noise. You have a choice. You can participate in chaos, or you can watch, measure, and strike with precision. You don't need their permission to observe. You don't need validation to wait. And you don't need to act until the moment is yours. That's the key. Think about military strategists. They don't charge blindly into battle. They don't yell first and ask questions later. They watch, they study, they wait. They understand that information is power. The more you see, the more you know. The more you know, the more you control. One general described it this way: we see the battlefield, we anticipate the enemy, we strike with certainty. Those who act first without seeing lose first. That is the lesson. Observation equals control. Here's how you apply it in your life. First, silence your inner commentary. Most people see but immediately interpret. They judge, they label, they react in their mind before they react outwardly. Stop. Watch first. Listen first. Absorb first. Don't judge. Don't jump. Don't form opinions. Just take in everything. That's power. You have a choice. You can react or you can observe. The choice is yours, always. Next, notice patterns. People reveal themselves through repetition. Watch how colleagues communicate. Watch how clients behave. Watch how family members respond under stress. There is always a pattern if you are paying attention. And here's the secret. Patterns tell you what they will do next. Patterns tell you where they will push. Patterns tell you who they really are. Observation is your advantage. Control is the reward. Repeat after me. See it all, say nothing, control everything. Let's get practical. Imagine a meeting. A team member is challenging you aggressively. Most people would respond immediately. They would defend, explain, or attack back. That's reaction. You observe. You note their words, their tone, their body language. You watch their energy. You see the pauses, the hesitations, the tells. You see the people in the room shifting, reacting to them. You do not interrupt. You do not defend. You wait. You allow the pattern to reveal itself. By the time you respond, you are not reacting. You are commanding. That's the difference. That's discipline. Another example, social dynamics. A friend or acquaintance is trying to provoke you. They post a comment, they make a statement designed to get a rise out of you. Most people bite, most people argue, most people escalate. You observe. You notice why they are doing it. You note the timing, the phrasing, the intent. You see the pattern of their behavior. You see the desired reaction. And here's the key. You do not give it to them. You don't react. You remain silent. The world thinks you are passive. In reality, you are powerful. You are controlling the situation. You are observing, analyzing, and mastering. See it all, say nothing, control everything. Let's talk practical. Imagine a meeting. A team member is challenging you aggressively. Most people would respond immediately. They would defend, explain, or attack back.
That's reaction. You observe. You note their words, their tone, their body language. You watch their energy. You see the pauses, the hesitations, the tells. You see the people in the room shifting, reacting to them. You do not interrupt. You do not defend. You wait. You allow the pattern to reveal itself. By the time you respond, you are not reacting, you are commanding. That's the difference. That's discipline. Let's talk internal cues. Your body reacts first. Your mind reacts first. That is normal. But what separates the masters from the average is control. You must train yourself to pause, to breathe, to notice what your mind is doing before you act. The moment between stimulus and response is your battlefield. Observe your own reactions. You have a choice. You have the power to redirect your impulses. You don't need their permission to do this. You don't need anyone to approve. This is your discipline. This is your command. Observation also gives you leverage. The more you know about a person, the situation, or the environment, the more influence you hold. Influence does not come from speaking. Influence comes from understanding. Influence comes from seeing what others cannot see. Influence comes from waiting for the precise moment to act, not rushing in blindly. That's why the silent observer always wins. That's why calm dominates chaos. That's why patience is not weakness, it's strategy. Repeat, see it all, say nothing, control everything. Now, here's an exercise. Today, in one interaction, do not speak unless absolutely necessary. Watch, listen, record internally. Notice gestures, patterns, energy shifts. Note what is said and what is unsaid. Count how many times your mind wants to jump in, to defend, to explain, to react. Then, consciously choose to observe instead. That's mastery in action. That's discipline. That's how you turn every encounter into intelligence instead of surrender. Let's reinforce this again because repetition builds transformation. You have a choice. Every time you feel the urge to react, pause. Every time you want to speak impulsively, observe. Every time the world tries to provoke you, watch. It's not about being passive. It's not about hiding. It's about command. It's about control. You don't need their permission to take it. You don't need their approval to hold it. You don't need their recognition to exercise it. You have it within you already. That's the key. Observation is the first step towards unshakable power. Observation allows you to control the battlefield of life. Observation turns chaos into clarity, and observation gives you the insight to act decisively only when the moment is yours. You mastered patience. You learned the weapon of silence. You understood that command begins with watching. Now, let's talk about the next level. What to do when you feel the storm closing in.
Stop talking. Stop reacting. Stop assuming. Right now, your greatest weapon in life is not your mouth. It's not your argument. It's not your clever comeback. The silent weapon of observation is your edge. That's the key. See it all, say nothing, control everything. Most people live life half-blind. They react to what they think is happening rather than what actually is happening. They make assumptions, jump to conclusions, and respond emotionally. They hear words, but they miss the meaning. They see faces, but they miss the intent. And because of this, they are constantly outmaneuvered, constantly outsmarted, constantly frustrated. That ends today. Let's get one thing straight. Observation is not passive. Observation is active. It requires discipline. It requires focus. It requires the refusal to be drawn into noise. You have a choice. You can participate in chaos, or you can watch, measure, and strike with precision. You don't need their permission to observe. You don't need validation to wait. And you don't need to act until the moment is yours. That's the key. Think about military strategists. They don't charge blindly into battle. They don't yell first and ask questions later. They watch, they study, they wait. They understand that information is power. The more you see, the more you know. The more you know, the more you control. One general described it this way: we see the battlefield, we anticipate the enemy, we strike with certainty. Those who act first without seeing lose first. That is the lesson. Observation
equals control. Here's how you apply it in your life. First, silence your inner commentary. Most people see but immediately interpret. They judge, they label, they react in their mind before they react outwardly. Stop. Watch first, listen first, absorb first. Don't judge, don't jump, don't form opinions. Just take in everything. That's power. You have a choice. You can react or you can observe. The choice is yours, always. Next, notice patterns. People reveal themselves through repetition. Watch how colleagues communicate. Watch how clients behave. Watch how family members respond under stress. There is always a pattern if you are paying attention. And here's the secret. Patterns tell you what they will do next. Patterns tell you where they will push. Patterns tell you who they really are. Observation is your advantage. Control is the reward. Repeat after me. See it all. Say nothing. Control everything. Let's get practical. Imagine a meeting. A team member is challenging you aggressively. Most people would respond immediately. They would defend, explain, or attack back. That's reaction. You observe. You note their words, their tone, their body language. You watch their energy. You see the pauses, the hesitations, the tells. You see the people in the room shifting, reacting to them. You do not interrupt. You do not defend. You wait. You allow the pattern to reveal itself. By the time you respond, you are not reacting. You are commanding. That's the difference. That's discipline. Another example. Social dynamics. A friend or acquaintance is trying to provoke you. They post a comment. They make a statement designed to get a rise out of you. Most people bite. Most people argue. Most people escalate. You observe. You notice why they are doing it. You note the timing, the phrasing, the intent. You see the pattern of their behavior. You see the desired reaction. And here's the key. You do not give it to them. You don't react. You remain silent. The world thinks you are passive. In reality, you are powerful. You are controlling the situation. You are observing, analyzing, and mastering. See it all. Say nothing. Control everything. Let's talk internal cues. Your body reacts first. Your mind reacts first. That is normal. But what separates the masters from the average is control. You must train yourself to pause, to breathe, to notice what your mind is doing before you act. The moment between stimulus and response is your battlefield. Observe your own reactions. You have a choice. You have the power to redirect your impulses. You don't need their permission to do this. You don't need anyone to approve. This is your discipline. This is your command. Observation also gives you leverage. The more you know about a person, the situation, or the environment, the more influence you hold. Influence does not come from speaking. Influence comes from understanding. Influence comes from seeing what others cannot see. Influence comes from waiting for the precise moment to act, not rushing in blindly. That's why the silent observer always wins. That's why calm dominates chaos. That's why patience is not weakness, it's strategy. Repeat, see it all, say nothing, control everything. Now here's an exercise. Today, in one interaction, do not speak unless absolutely necessary. Watch, listen, record internally. Notice gestures, patterns, energy shifts. Note what is said and what is unsaid. Count how many times your mind wants to jump in, to defend, to explain, to react. Then consciously choose to observe instead. That's mastery in action. That's discipline. That's how you turn every encounter into intelligence instead of surrender. Let's reinforce this again because repetition builds transformation. You have a choice. Every time you feel the urge to react, pause. Every time you want to speak impulsively, observe. Every time the world tries to provoke you, watch. It's not about being passive. It's not about hiding. It's about command. It's about control. You don't need their permission to take it. You don't need their approval to hold it. You don't need their recognition to exercise it. You have it within you already. That's the key. Observation is the first step towards unshakable power.
Observation allows you to control the battlefield of life. Observation turns chaos into clarity, and observation gives you the insight to act decisively only when the moment is yours. You mastered patience. You learned the weapon of silence. You understood that command begins with watching. Now, let's talk about the next level, what to do when you feel the storm closing in. Chapter 3, Emotions are not instructions.
Stop. Right now, I want you to hear this and never forget it. Your feelings are not commands. They are signals. That's the key. Emotions are information, not instructions. Most people confuse the two. They see anger, frustration, jealousy, or fear, and they act immediately. They text, they email, they argue, they explode, and every single time, they regret it. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can feel an emotion and surrender to it, or you can feel an emotion and choose your response. That choice, that discipline, is the difference between chaos and control. You don't need anyone's permission to exercise it. You don't need validation. You don't need a reason. You have it within you. That's the key. Let's break it down. Think about your last impulsive email. Maybe you were frustrated. Maybe someone pushed your buttons. Maybe your pride got in the way. You hit send before thinking. And what happened? The argument escalated. The tension grew. Your power diminished. That's reaction. That's surrender. You felt it, you fed it, and now you're paying the price. That's the reality. Now, imagine a different scenario. Same frustration, same trigger, same insult. And yet, you pause. You breathe. You write, but you don't send. You step back. You observe. You ask yourself, does acting on this serve me or does it surrender my power? That pause, that deliberate choice is mastery. Feel it. Don't feed it. Control the outcome. Repeat it until it becomes reflex. Every emotion is a test. Every impulse is a test. And you pass by choosing discipline over reaction. This applies everywhere. Meetings, conversations, social media, texts, calls, boardrooms, family dinners. Life is full of emotional triggers. Most people are blind to them until it's too late. But not you. Not anymore. You are learning to separate what you feel from what you do. You are learning that action without strategy is surrender. That's the key. Let's talk about real-world examples. Corporate leaders, under pressure, make thousands of small decisions every day. Most of them react emotionally at least once. A heated email, a sharp comment, a frustrated reply. And suddenly, the negotiation is lost. Contracts slip away. Team morale drops. A moment of impulse costs more than they realize. That's why mastering emotion is non-negotiable. Feel it. Don't feed it. Control the outcome. Look at sports. A quarterback throws an interception. Most players react with anger. They scream at teammates. They lose focus. They make another mistake. The loss compounds. The game is lost in the mind before it's lost on the field. The great players, the elite ones, feel the frustration. They acknowledge it, but they don't feed it. They take a breath, they recalibrate, they control the outcome. That same principle applies to every area of life. Every email, every meeting, every interaction. Master your emotions, master your results. Here's a practical technique. The next time you feel a strong emotion, try this. Stop. Take a conscious breath. Name the feeling silently in your mind. I am angry. I am frustrated. I am anxious. Naming it removes the unconscious power it has over you. Ask yourself, does acting on this emotion serve me or does it surrender my power? Pause. Think. Choose. Respond deliberately or don't respond at all. That's discipline. That's control. That's mastery. Another key point. Emotions are contagious. They spread faster than any virus. Your reaction to someone else's chaos amplifies it. Your calm suppresses it. Think about it. An angry colleague, a hostile client, a rude stranger, they want a reaction. That's the currency they're after. You have the choice to give it to them or not. Feel it, don't feed it, control the outcome. The difference between chaos and command is that simple. Let's reinforce the truth one more time. Emotions are signals. Acting on every signal is surrender.
Pausing, observing, and choosing your response is power. That's the principle. That's the secret that most people will never learn. You don't need their permission to exercise it. You don't need approval to maintain your control. You have the authority over yourself. That's the key. Here's a behavior modification you can start today. Keep a log. Every time you feel a strong emotion, write down what triggered it, how you reacted, and how you could have responded differently. After a week, patterns emerge. You'll see where you surrender power. You'll see the moments you can seize control. And over time, this exercise rewires your brain to choose discipline over reaction. You have a choice. Use it. Now, let's be honest. This isn't easy. You will feel the urge to react. You will feel the pull to send that email, make that call, or speak in anger. That's normal. That's human. But human is not masterful. Mastery is deliberate. Mastery is strategic. Mastery is calm. Feel it, don't feed it, control the outcome. Repeat it, drill it, internalize it. It's your mantra, it's your armor, it's your weapon. Think of the long-term results. People who feed their emotions suffer. People who act impulsively lose relationships, opportunities, and credibility. People who master their emotions gain influence, respect, and success. That is transformation. That is power. That is discipline. You can feel it. You don't need to feed it. You control the outcome. That's the key. And here's the final, non-negotiable truth. Control over your emotions is control over your life. Every choice you make when others are reacting in chaos positions you ahead. Every pause, every breath, every deliberate action compounds into authority. Every reaction you avoid builds power. Discipline over feelings creates freedom. That's the principle. That's the strategy. That's your path to unshakable calm. Let's summarize. First, recognize your emotions. Second, understand they are signals, not instructions. Third, pause and breathe. Fourth, choose your response deliberately. Fifth, observe, analyze, and control the outcome. Repeat daily. Repeat relentlessly. This is not optional. This is fundamental. You mastered your reactions. You learned to separate feelings from action. You embraced the discipline of emotional control. Now you are ready for the next level. You are ready to anchor yourself in unshakable calm. Chapter 4, Own Your Space Always.
Stop letting the world intrude. Stop giving away your energy. Right now, you need to understand this. Your space, mental, emotional, and physical, is your fortress. That's the key. Your space is your fortress. Guard it. Most people operate in constant chaos. Phones buzzing, emails piling up, social media screaming, colleagues demanding attention, friends making requests, family pulling you in every direction. And amidst all of this, they have no boundaries. They are available 24/7 to everyone else, yet their own priorities get trampled. They surrender control, bit by bit, day by day. That ends today. You have a choice. You can allow intrusion, or you can reclaim command. The choice is yours, always. Your mental space is the most critical. Thoughts are constantly vying for your attention. Anxiety, doubt, negativity, fear, they creep in uninvited. Most people let them dominate. They react to every thought, every feeling, every opinion. That's surrender. That's chaos. Discipline begins with protecting your mind. You don't need their permission to prioritize your mental clarity. You don't need approval to block distractions. You have the authority over your own focus. That's the key. Let's make it practical. Every day, take a moment to define your mental boundaries. Decide what thoughts, influences, or information deserve your attention and what doesn't. Decide what will shape your day and what will drain your energy. This is not optional. This is survival. This is leadership. Your space is your fortress. Guard it. Repeat it. Repeat it until it becomes a reflex. Physical boundaries matter too. Most people do not protect their environment. Their office is cluttered. Their home is chaotic. Their calendar is open to everyone. And as a result, energy leaks everywhere. Power drains in all directions. You are no exception if you don't act. CEOs, leaders, high performers,
What do? They create structures. They block time. They protect their routines. They set rules for intrusion. Meetings are scheduled. Calls are limited. Even emails are filtered. They know that chaos outside will find a way in if the gates are left open. That's discipline. That's command. That's power. Here's a concrete exercise. Look at your day. Identify the top 3 boundaries you are willing to enforce immediately. Maybe it's no phones during work blocks. Maybe it's no social media until after certain tasks are completed. Maybe it's a quiet morning routine that is non-negotiable. Whatever it is, implement it now. Guard it fiercely. Repeat, your space is your fortress. Guard it. Boundaries are also about relationships. People often confuse availability with loyalty. They think saying yes to everyone is proof of character. Wrong. Saying yes to everything is proof of surrender. Saying yes without discretion is the fastest way to lose focus, energy, and respect. You have a choice. You can respond to every request, or you can protect your priorities. You don't need their permission to set limits. That's the key. Discipline is saying no before you say yes. Discipline is deciding what deserves your attention. Discipline is owning your space. Let's be real. The world will push back. People will test you. They will challenge your boundaries. Why are you unavailable? They ask. Why can't we meet now? They insist. Most people fold. They explain. They justify. They compromise. You don't. You hold the line. You reinforce the rule. You show that your space is not negotiable. That is authority. That is mastery. That is calm in the crossfire. Mental, physical, and relational boundaries are not just protection, they are leverage. They allow you to operate at peak performance. They allow you to think clearly. They allow you to act decisively. And when others are scrambling, reacting, and surrendering to chaos, you are steady. You are focused. You are in command. That's the advantage. Your space is your fortress. Guard it. Say it. Live it. Breathe it. Let's use a real-world example. Look at top CEOs. They block time for deep work. They have closed-door sessions where no one may intrude. They structure their day to eliminate chaos. Why? Because they understand that even a single distraction can derail a critical decision. Even one unplanned interruption can cost millions. Most people don't protect their time because they think it's trivial. That's the flaw. It's not about multitasking or constant availability. It's about discipline. It's about controlling your space. That's the key. Another example, high-performing athletes. Their environment is structured. Their training is sacred. Their routines are protected. They know that even small intrusions, negative influences, distractions, unnecessary criticism can disrupt performance. You operate the same way in life. Your mind, your time, your energy, your priorities, they are sacred. Treat them as such. Guard them relentlessly. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Here's a technique to implement immediately. For one day, note every intrusion into your space. Phone calls, emails, interruptions, unnecessary conversations. At the end of the day, evaluate. Which intrusions were necessary? Which were distractions? Which drained energy? Identify patterns. Decide which boundaries to enforce tomorrow. Repeat daily. This is how leaders build unshakable command. This is how discipline transforms into calm. Let's reinforce this again, because repetition is the only way change becomes instinct. Your space is your fortress. Guard it. Your mind, your body, your environment, your time, your energy. Guard it. Protect it. Command it. Stop surrendering it to the chaos around you. Stop giving your power away to every distraction, every request, every voice that demands your attention. That's the key. Boundaries are also emotional. Protect your feelings from manipulation, guilt, and unnecessary drama. People will try to pull you into their storms. They will provoke, complain, or criticize. Most people respond immediately. You don't. You observe, you measure, you decide if their intrusion serves your purpose, and most of the time, it doesn't. Silence is your shield. Discipline is your weapon. That's authority. That's calm. That's control. Repeat. Your space is your fortress. Guard it. Now, take a moment and internalize this. Discipline is not just about action. Discipline is about protection. Discipline is deciding what deserves your energy and what does not. Discipline is owning the battlefield before the fight begins. You have a choice. You can surrender your space or you can command it. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You have it already. That's the key. In summary, owning your space requires 3 things. Protect your mental space. Pause, observe, and choose your focus. Guard your physical environment. Structure your day, your office, and your routines. Enforce relational boundaries. Say no strategically. Protect your energy. When you do this consistently, you will notice a transformation. You will operate with clarity. You will act with precision. You will maintain calm when others panic. Your space becomes your fortress. You become unshakable. And remember, the world will test you. It will try to breach your boundaries. Stand firm. Hold the line. Guard what is yours. That is command. That is power. That is the silent mastery of calm. You have now learned the principle of protecting your fortress. You have seen how discipline and boundaries create control. You have understood that chaos is everywhere, but you don't have to participate. You have mastered your space. Now let's talk about the cost of immediate reaction, the enemy of calm.
Stop. Stop pretending that every reaction is harmless. Stop thinking that instant venting, snapping, or exploding solves anything. The truth is simple. Every impulsive reaction has a cost. That's the key. Pause now, profit later. React now, regret forever. Most people live in the moment, reacting to whatever hits them first. An insult, a tweet, a rude comment, a challenge in a meeting. They feel the emotion and they act immediately. And what happens? Regret. Lost opportunities, damaged relationships, careers derailed, influence diminished. That is the price of surrendering to immediate reaction. You have a choice. Every second, every moment. You can react or you can pause. That choice is yours, always. Let's look at social media because it's the perfect example. A provocative post, a misleading comment, a personal attack. Most people respond immediately. They write angry tweets, they post defensive messages, they feed the fire. Instant relief, sure, you feel better in the moment, but the consequences? Public humiliation, professional backlash, burned bridges, regret amplified. That's why the principle matters. Pause now, profit later. React now, regret forever. Repeat it. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. In real life, the consequences can be even higher. Consider heated workplace meetings. Someone challenges your idea. You feel disrespected. Your gut screams. Your mind races. Most people respond immediately. They argue. They defend. They lash out. The result? Tension rises. Credibility drops. Decisions are lost. Relationships fray. Careers falter. All because of one uncontrolled moment. You have a choice. You can feed the impulse or you can pause. That's discipline. That's power. That's command. Now, let's get practical. Step 1, awareness. Notice the moments when you're about to react strongly. It might be your chest tightening, a spike of heat in your face, your mind rehearsing a comeback. That is the signal. That is the warning. Pause now, profit later. React now, regret forever. Say it out loud if you need to. Let it sink in. That signal is the opportunity to regain control. That's the battlefield. That's where mastery is decided. Step 2, deliberate pause. Take a breath. Count to 3, even 5. Step back mentally. Observe the situation. Ask yourself, will reacting now help me or hurt me? Most reactions hurt. Most give others power over your mind, your emotions, your decisions. Most of the time, nothing is solved by immediate response. That's the reality. You have a choice. That choice is yours. You don't need their permission to exercise it. That's the key. Here's a story. A senior executive received a harsh email from a subordinate. Most people would fire off an angry reply, defend their position, or publicly reprimand the person. He didn't. He paused. He walked away. He revisited the message hours later with a calm, strategic response. The subordinate understood the mistake. The relationship improved. The project moved forward. Careers were saved. That's the power of pausing. That's the cost of reaction. Pause now,
profit later. React now, regret forever. It's not just emails. Think about meetings, phone calls, or family arguments. You know the moments. You know the triggers. Every time you react immediately, you give your power away. Every time you pause, observe, and respond deliberately, you gain it back. It's a choice, and that choice compounds over time. One pause leads to clarity. One pause leads to better decisions. One pause leads to influence and respect. That's the reward. That's the transformation. Let's talk about impulse control exercises. First, create a personal pause rule. Decide in advance, every time you feel the urge to react strongly, verbally, digitally, or physically, you will pause for at least 5 seconds. Just 5. It seems small, but it rewires your instinct. Over time, your default response shifts from surrendering to commanding. That's discipline. That's leadership. That's calm in the crossfire. Second, visualize consequences. Before responding, imagine the worst-case scenario, the harsh reply, the lost opportunity, the destroyed relationship. Most people never do this. They act first, think later. You are different. You pause, you calculate, you choose wisely. That's authority. That's power. That's the edge. Pause now, profit later. React now, regret forever. Drill it into your mind until it becomes second nature. Third, build reflection into your daily routine. At the end of each day, review moments where you reacted or almost reacted impulsively. Ask yourself, what would have happened if I paused? How would the outcome have changed? Write it down. Analyze patterns. The more conscious you become, the easier it is to intercept impulses in the future. That's mastery. That's control. That's command. Now, hear this clearly. Pausing is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is strength. It is discipline. It is tactical mastery. Reacting immediately may feel satisfying, but it comes at a cost. Pausing may feel uncomfortable, but it pays dividends every single time. That's the principle. That's the difference between the average and the extraordinary. That's the difference between chaos and calm. Repeat. Pause now, profit later. React now, regret forever. Here's another truth. People around you will push your buttons deliberately. They will provoke, insult, and challenge. They expect a reaction. Most give it to them. You don't. You pause. You assess. You act strategically, or you don't act at all. That's power. That's influence. That's mastery. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't need their permission to take control. That's the key. Remember, every impulsive reaction is like a check written against your future. The interest compounds. The regret grows. One tweet, one message, one angry word, one rash decision. It can cost you opportunities, trust, and authority. The cost is high. The reward of discipline is higher. Commanding your reactions builds a life that others envy. That is your advantage. That is your power. Pause now, profit later. React now, regret forever. Finally, let's internalize this principle. Whenever you feel the urge to react, repeat these phrases to yourself. I have a choice. I can pause and control this moment. I don't need their permission to remain calm. It's not about being right. It's about maintaining discipline. These are not mantras. They are strategies. They are armor. They are the difference between surrendering and commanding. That's the path to unshakable calm. That's how you turn crossfire into advantage. In summary, the cost of immediate reaction is steep. The relief it provides is temporary. The consequences are long-term. Every impulsive action drains your power. Every deliberate pause restores it. Discipline over impulse is the key. Master this principle. Internalize it. Practice it relentlessly. You are not here to surrender your control. You are here to command it. You have now learned the price of impulsivity. You have learned the power of pause. You have understood that calm is stronger than reaction. Now it's time to multiply that calm through influence and presence.
Stop. Stop thinking that your emotions only affect you. Stop believing that your reactions are contained. The truth is brutal and simple. Your state spreads. Your energy transfers. That's the key. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers.
Most people underestimate how much influence their emotional state has on others. Walk into a meeting, watch the room. People mirror emotions. If you panic, the team panics. If you lose focus, the energy disperses. If you react with frustration, conflict escalates. Most leaders are unaware of this. They think their chaos is private. It is not. Your presence is always noticed. Your energy always moves through the room. You have a choice. You can let it control you, or you can control it. That's the key. Calm is not passive. Calm is not weak. Calm is not avoidance. Calm is mastery. Calm is strategic power. When you're composed, others mirror it. Teams follow it. Peers respect it. Adversaries hesitate before attacking it. Calm is contagious. That's why elite leaders cultivate it deliberately. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers. Repeat it. Let it echo in your mind until it becomes instinct. Consider hostile environments, boardrooms where tempers flare, negotiations where stakes are high, meetings where egos dominate. Most people react. Most people escalate. Most people feed chaos, but not the composed leader. They enter, breathe, and observe. They measure. They speak deliberately. They choose each word carefully. And what happens? The room shifts. Tension eases. Arguments pause. Decisions are made. That is the power of calm. That is influence in action. Let's take a case study. A CEO walks into a heated strategy meeting. Emotions run high. Voices are raised. People are defensive. Most leaders would fight back, assert dominance, or attempt to control through pressure. This CEO does none of that. Instead, she remains composed. She listens. She nods. She asks pointed questions with measured tones. Within minutes, the energy changes. The room focuses. Ideas emerge. Collaboration replaces hostility. Calm spread, controlled the environment, and conquered chaos. That's the principle. That's what you are training for. Now, let's make it practical. Step 1. Control your breath. It's the foundation of your state. In moments of stress, most people hold their breath. Their heart rate spikes. Their voice tightens. That's how panic spreads. You, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. Signal to your mind, control. Signal to your body, authority. Signal to the room, calm. This simple habit multiplies influence. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers. Step 2. Neutral body language. Posture, gestures, eye contact. They speak louder than words. People are reading energy, always. A clenched jaw, fidgeting hands, darting eyes, they feed chaos. A relaxed posture, steady gaze, and controlled gestures, they transmit calm. Observe the difference. Practice it daily. This is not passive. This is commanding presence. You don't need anyone's permission to hold your composure. That's the key. Step 3. Measured speech. Most people speak first, think later. That escalates tension. Words without discipline fan flames. Calm leaders pause, consider, and then speak. They allow others to vent, then respond with precision. The result? People listen. Ideas take hold. Respect grows. Influence solidifies. Your calm becomes the anchor of every conversation. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers. Step 4. Strategic silence. Silence is often more powerful than speech. It creates space for reflection. It forces others to adjust their energy to yours. Most people panic in silence. They fill it with noise. You don't. You remain measured. You observe. You wait for the right moment to act. This is mastery. This is authority. This is calm in action. Repeat. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers. Let's reinforce the point. Your calm is a tool. It is influence. It is authority. It shapes the environment before you even speak. Teams follow it. Peers respect it. Adversaries hesitate before testing it. Your energy sets the tone. Every reaction you hold in check multiplies control. Every pause you take strengthens influence. Every deliberate act of composure compounds power. That is discipline. That is leadership. That is strategic calm. Here's an exercise for today. In a small meeting, consciously maintain composure regardless of provocation. Observe the responses. Notice the shifts in energy. Take notes mentally or physically. Reflect. How does your state affect the environment? How does calm alter outcomes? Repetition builds habit. Habit builds mastery. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers. Say it, live it, and enforce it. Now, here's the tough truth. Your calm will be tested. People will attempt to rattle you. Adversaries will push buttons. Subordinates will challenge. Colleagues will provoke. Most people react emotionally. You don't. You pause. You breathe. You calculate. You act deliberately. That's the difference between chaos and command. That's why calm is contagious. That's why mastery begins with control of self. You have a choice. Always. You don't need their permission to maintain it. That's the key. Another real-world example. A manager inherits a team in conflict. Prior leadership left unresolved tensions. Most new leaders attempt to force change through pressure. Chaos grows. This manager takes a different approach. Calm observation, listening, measured guidance. Over weeks, the team's energy aligns. Productivity rises. Hostility diminishes. Calm was contagious, and the results were undeniable. Discipline over panic won the day. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers. Remember, calm is not inaction. Calm is strategy. Calm is tactical power. Calm allows you to make better decisions. Calm creates influence. Calm is the lever that turns hostile environments into productive ones. Every person you lead, every room you enter, every negotiation you face, calm shapes the outcome. That's why mastery of calm is non-negotiable. That's why this principle is at the core of command. That's the key. Let's summarize actionable steps. Control your breath. Anchor your body and mind. Maintain neutral and authoritative body language. Speak deliberately, not impulsively. Use silence strategically. Observe, don't react. Test your calm daily in small interactions and scale it to larger ones. Repeat the mantra daily. Your calm spreads. Your calm controls. Your calm conquers. Say it, live it, and enforce it. Now you have learned the power of your presence. You have learned how calm can shift energy, align teams, and conquer conflict. You have understood that influence begins internally. You have discovered that composure multiplies authority. Now it's time to expand this power into decision-making and high-stakes judgment.
Stop looking for stability outside yourself. Stop waiting for situations, people, or circumstances to calm you. The truth is simple. Nothing external can anchor you. That's the key. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Most people drift. They rely on routine, comfort, or approval to maintain their equilibrium. A calm room, a supportive boss, a friendly conversation. They believe these will keep them steady. But the moment pressure hits, the moment chaos enters, the moment others demand your attention or test your patience, they crumble. That is the flaw. That is surrender. You have a choice. You can drift or you can anchor. That choice is yours, always. Anchoring is the practice of rooting yourself in stability, regardless of the storm outside. It is deliberate. It is tactical. It is non-negotiable. Every leader, every high performer, every person who thrives under pressure knows this truth. Calm does not come from outside. Calm comes from within. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Repeat it. Drill it into your mind. Let it become reflex. Let's start with the basics. The body. Your physical state influences your mental state. When the body is tense, the mind panics. When the body is relaxed, the mind calculates. That is why the inner anchor begins with breath. Deep, controlled, deliberate breathing is non-negotiable. Inhale slowly. Exhale fully. Count if necessary. Signal to your body, I am in control. Signal to your mind, I am calm. Signal to your presence, I am anchored. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Next, mental visualization. Imagine roots extending from your body into the ground, strong, unshakable, immovable. Picture yourself as a tree in a storm. Winds rage, rain lashes, lightning strikes, and yet the roots hold firm. That is the principle. That is the discipline. Most people see themselves as leaves in the wind, blown, tossed, reactive. You are not them. You anchor yourself. You are immovable. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Meditation is the next tool. Just 10 minutes a day is enough to rewire your mind for calm. Focus on your breath. Observe thoughts without engagement. Watch emotions pass without surrender. The goal is simple. Build the habit of observing the storm without being pulled into it. This is the foundation of mastery under pressure. The world can rage, others can panic, situations can escalate, and yet you remain grounded. That is the power of the inner anchor. That is your discipline. That is your advantage. Now let's get tactical. You are in a high-stakes meeting. Pressure mounts, voices rise, your heart races. Most people respond emotionally. They react. They lose control. Not you. You anchor yourself. You breathe. You visualize roots extending deep into the ground. You observe the chaos without surrender. You remain immovable. The room adjusts to your presence. Decisions are made with clarity. Influence grows silently. That is control. That is power. That is the inner anchor in action. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Let's reinforce this further with real-world examples. Military officers in combat rely on their inner anchor. They train relentlessly, mentally and physically. They practice visualization, breath control, and meditation techniques. Under fire, under chaos, under life or death pressure, they do not panic. They are rooted. Their teams follow their stability. Their presence shifts outcomes. Most civilians, most professionals, most people crumble under half the pressure they face daily. That is the difference. That is the discipline. Anchoring is also emotional. You will encounter provocation, manipulation, and negativity. Most people are dragged into emotional battles. You are not most people. Your calm is intentional. Your responses are measured. Your focus is immovable. You acknowledge emotions, but you do not feed them. You observe, you choose, you act deliberately, or you do not act at all. That is mastery. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Here's a practical exercise for today. The next time stress hits, stop and take 3 deliberate breaths. Anchor yourself in your body. Visualize roots growing from your core, holding you steady. Observe the situation without judgment. Ask, what action serves the outcome? What reaction serves only chaos? Respond deliberately, or pause entirely until clarity emerges. Repeat this exercise until it becomes instinct. Over time, the inner anchor becomes automatic. Chaos no longer controls you. Pressure no longer breaks you. Others' reactions no longer sway you. You become the calm in every storm. You become the authority in every room. That is the transformation. That is the discipline. That is the principle. Let's be honest, this is not easy. You will feel the pull to surrender. You will feel the urge to react impulsively. You will feel the storm inside. That is normal. That is human. But human is not mastery. Mastery is deliberate. Mastery is disciplined. Mastery is anchored. Each pause, each visualization, each deliberate breath compounds into stability. Each moment you anchor yourself multiplies power. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Your inner anchor also multiplies influence. Teams, peers, and subordinates mirror stability. When you remain grounded, they stabilize. When you react, they panic.
This principle is non-negotiable for leadership, negotiation, and high-stakes environments. Influence is transmitted through presence. Presence is rooted in discipline. Discipline is anchored in self. That is the key. That is control. That is calm in the crossfire. Another tactic, integrate micro-meditation into daily life. Even 30 seconds before responding to an email, taking a call, or entering a meeting, pause and center yourself. Anchor physically and mentally. The small actions accumulate. The discipline grows. Your inner stability becomes contagious. You do not drift. You lead. You influence. You conquer. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Now reflect on this truth. Most people spend their lives drifting, reacting to external chaos, chasing approval, surrendering to circumstance. You are not most people. You are choosing to anchor. You are choosing discipline. You are choosing calm. You are choosing power. This is your path. This is your advantage. This is mastery. Anchor in yourself. Drift in nothing else. Repeat it. Own it. Live it. In summary, the inner anchor requires 3 pillars. Breath. Use deliberate, deep breathing to signal control. Visualization. Root yourself mentally and emotionally to maintain stability. Observation and choice. Notice chaos without reacting impulsively. Decide deliberately. When practiced daily, these habits build an unshakable presence. They transform you from a reactor to a commander, from a drifted mind to an anchored mind, from a follower of chaos to a master of calm. This is your power. This is your discipline. This is your edge. You have now learned to root yourself in stability under pressure. You have learned to observe without surrender, to breathe with purpose, and to visualize your inner strength. You have discovered that calm begins internally. You have mastered your anchor. Now it's time to extend this power outward, to influence and control in every interaction.
Stop talking to prove your point. Stop filling the air with noise. The truth is simple. Most people speak too much, and it costs them influence. That's the key. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Most people confuse talking with leadership. They believe volume equals authority. They think fast responses show intelligence. Wrong. Volume is noise. Fast responses are impulsivity. Authority comes from control. Authority comes from discipline. Authority comes from knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. You have a choice. You can clutter the room with words, or you can command it with silence. That choice is yours, always. Let's start with the principle. Silence creates presence. When you speak less, every word you say carries weight. When you pause deliberately, you create space for others to think, to react, to respect. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is influence in action. Repeat, say less, command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Consider negotiation. Most people over-explain, over-justify, over-argue. They fill every pause with unnecessary detail. They think fast responses give them leverage. It doesn't. Silence gives leverage. A well-placed pause makes the other party reveal more than they intended. A calm, deliberate statement followed by silence shifts power. Silence allows observation, analysis, and anticipation. That is command. That is authority. That is influence. Say less, command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Here's a case study, a high-stakes boardroom negotiation. One executive dominates the conversation, explaining every detail, justifying every number. The other executive speaks once, then pauses, observes, and waits. The first executive continues, oversharing, revealing weakness, and giving leverage away. The second executive then speaks a single, precise sentence. The room reacts. Decisions pivot. Deals are won.
Influence is gained, all because of controlled silence. That is mastery. That is strategy. That is the principle of speaking less to influence more. Now, let's make it practical. Step 1. Deliberate pause before responding. Every question, challenge, or comment deserves thought. Count to 3 before speaking. Let the pause signal confidence. Let the pause create anticipation. Let the pause establish authority. Most people respond immediately. You don't. That's discipline. That's power. That's influence. Repeat. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Step 2. Ask questions. Don't answer everything. Most people talk to be heard. You talk to guide. Ask precise, strategic questions. Observe answers. Use silence to let the other party fill the gaps. You are not reacting. You are controlling the narrative. You are shaping outcomes without noise. That is authority. That is leadership. That is calm, commanding respect. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Here's a step 3. Use measured statements. When you speak, let every word count. Avoid filler. Avoid repetition. Avoid unnecessary emotion. Speak with clarity, precision, and intention. Your words should hit like a lever, shifting perception and action. Silence surrounds your words, amplifying their effect. That is influence. That is presence. That is mastery. Repeat. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Let's talk about the social environment. In team meetings, most leaders feel compelled to dominate the discussion. They speak to fill time, to assert control, to show intelligence. It backfires. Teams disengage. People speak over them. Authority diminishes. You listen. You observe. You speak when necessary. Your words carry weight. Your silence commands attention. Your presence influences outcomes without chaos. That is strategy. That is power. That is the disciplined path to influence. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Another example, public speaking or interviews. Most people over-explain, panic, or rush to respond. Silence can be terrifying for them. You exploit that. You answer deliberately. You pause for effect. You let them anticipate your next word. You let them feel the weight of every sentence. Influence grows exponentially. Respect is earned. Power is established. This is not magic. It is discipline. It is mastery. It is calm authority in action. Repeat. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Here's an exercise to implement today. During conversations, identify moments where you normally react immediately. Pause instead. Observe. Ask a question. Remain silent until necessary. Count your words. Make each one intentional. Monitor how people respond to your presence. Over time, your influence grows. Silence becomes your tool, your weapon, your leverage. That is discipline. That is calm. That is leadership without noise. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. It's crucial to understand why this principle works. People fear silence. They want to fill it. They want to control the narrative. When you remain anchored in silence, you let them reveal more than they intend. You gain insight. You create opportunity. You shape outcomes. That is strategic influence. That is power under control. That is calm in action. Repeat. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Now, here's the hard truth. Speaking less is uncomfortable at first. You will feel the urge to fill every gap, explain every thought, justify every position. That is normal. That is the test. Most people fail it. You don't. You pause. You breathe. You anchor. You speak only when it amplifies authority. That is discipline. That is mastery. That is influence without chaos. Say less, command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Combine this with your inner anchor, your composure, and your calm under pressure. Your words gain power. Your presence commands attention. Your silence influences outcomes silently. This is how leaders dominate high-stakes environments without aggression. This is how calm, disciplined action turns the crossfire into advantage. That is your edge. That is your principle. That is your discipline. Repeat. Say less. Command more. Silence speaks louder than words. In summary, speaking less is a deliberate strategy. It requires pausing before responding, to observe and calculate, asking questions to guide without over-explaining, using precise, measured statements to maximize impact, allowing silence to amplify authority and influence. When mastered, silence multiplies your presence, influence, and control. It makes others reveal, adjust, and follow your lead. Your calm becomes contagious. Your authority becomes unquestioned. Your influence becomes unavoidable. Say less, command more. Silence speaks louder than words. Now you have learned the power of controlled speech. You have learned how silence can shape perception, influence outcomes, and establish authority. You have discovered that influence is not about volume, it is about discipline. You have seen that words are weapons, and silence is the amplifier. Now it's time to pair this power with strategic decision-making in high-pressure environments.
Stop assuming everyone acts in good faith. Stop thinking the world is straightforward. The truth is clear. Chaos is full of hidden motives, manipulation, and traps. That's the key. Know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Most people are blind to subtle agendas. They see words but miss intention. They hear promises but ignore patterns. They react emotionally to situations they don't fully understand. That's the flaw. That's why people fail. You have a choice. You can drift blindly, or you can decode the chaos. That choice is yours, always. Decoding chaos begins with observation. Watch behavior, not just speech. Look at actions, not just promises. Study consistency, or lack thereof. Most people focus on what they want to hear. You focus on what they are actually doing. That is the principle. That is strategy. That is survival. Know the storm. Predict the storm. Move through it unscathed. Repeat it. Let it sink into your instinct. Let's take politics as an example. Political scandals erupt not because people are careless. They erupt because manipulations go unnoticed. Hidden agendas, subtle coercion, and opportunistic alliances shape outcomes long before chaos appears. Most observers react after the fact. Leaders who decode the storm see it coming. They predict it. They maneuver around it. They emerge unscathed. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's power. The same applies in corporate environments. Office politics, manipulative colleagues, deceptive emails, misleading meetings, they are all traps. Most professionals react impulsively. They take every word at face value. They trust too quickly. They escalate conflicts without insight. You don't. You decode. You observe. You anticipate. You act deliberately. You are not swept by chaos. You command through it. Know the storm. Predict the storm. Move through it unscathed. Let's look at interpersonal conflicts. Family disputes, friendships, and partnerships often escalate due to hidden agendas. One person says one thing means another. Most people respond emotionally. They feed the fire. They surrender to the storm. Not you. You decode intentions. You analyze patterns. You choose responses strategically. You maintain control. That is mastery. That is discipline. That is calm in the crossfire. Repeat. Know the storm. Predict the storm. Move through it unscathed. Step 1. Observe without judgment.
Most people react instantly, labeling behavior as good or bad. That clouds perception. Decoders observe neutrally. They see motives without bias. They catalog actions, phrases, and decisions. They notice patterns. They identify potential traps. Observation is not passive. It is strategic. It is proactive. It is authority in action. Know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Step 2. Map motives. Every action has a reason. Most people ignore this. They see only surface behavior. You dig deeper. Ask, why is this happening? Who benefits? What is being hidden? Understanding motives allows you to predict outcomes. It allows you to respond with precision. It transforms chaos from threat into opportunity. That is influence. That is discipline. That is strategy. Repeat, know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Step 3. Anticipate traps. Chaos is filled with pitfalls, verbal, emotional, and strategic. Most people stumble into them because they react blindly. You anticipate. You see patterns. You identify manipulation. You avoid escalation. You act with foresight. You are not caught off guard. You move through chaos like a master navigating a battlefield. That is control. That is leadership. That is calm under pressure. Know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Here's a real-world corporate example. A project team faces conflicting demands from executives. Most team members react impulsively, taking sides, escalating tensions, and worsening outcomes. One disciplined manager observes patterns, identifies hidden motives, and predicts the next moves. She acts strategically, communicating selectively, delegating wisely, and controlling outcomes. The chaos resolves, productivity rises, influence consolidates, mastery is achieved. That is the principle. That is the edge. Repeat, know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Political intrigue teaches similar lessons. Leaders who rise above scandals do not react emotionally. They decode the chaos first. They anticipate attacks, prepare responses, and safeguard their position. Those who react immediately, emotionally, or blindly are consumed by the storm. That is the difference between surviving and thriving. That is the discipline of decoding chaos. Know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Step 4. Maintain your calm. Observation, decoding, and anticipation mean nothing if your internal state crumbles. Emotional reactions cloud judgment. Panic reveals weaknesses. Chaos feeds chaos. Anchor yourself. Breathe deliberately. Pause before action. Internal calm is the foundation for external strategy. Without it, decoding fails. With it, you command the storm. That is power. That is influence. That is mastery. Repeat, know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Step 5. Act decisively but selectively. Most people react impulsively. They intervene too early, too late, or too emotionally. Decoders choose timing. They select the precise moment to act. They speak when words have impact. They move when motion maximizes advantage. Discipline over impulse dictates their moves. That is authority. That is control. That is command under fire. Repeat, know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Here's an actionable exercise. The next time a tense meeting or conversation occurs, practice decoding. Observe body language, tone, and timing. Ask yourself, who benefits from this? What is the hidden motive? Where might a trap lie? Pause before responding. Respond deliberately. Monitor outcomes. Reflect on patterns. Over time, decoding chaos becomes instinct. Over time, influence multiplies. Over time, calm dominates. That is mastery. That is transformation. Know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Remember, chaos is constant. People will manipulate, mislead, and provoke. Most people are blind to patterns. Most people surrender to emotion. You are different. You decode. You anticipate. You control your presence. You respond strategically. You remain unshaken. That is power. That is influence. That is calm in the crossfire. Repeat, know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. Finally, integrate this principle into all areas of life. Observe politics, business, relationships, and social dynamics. Identify hidden motives, predict outcomes, avoid traps, respond with authority. Every decoded situation strengthens your ability to remain calm and in control. Every mastered storm reinforces discipline, presence, and influence. This is the advantage of the prepared, the anchored, the disciplined. Know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. In summary, decoding chaos requires 5 pillars: observation without judgment, see actions clearly without bias, mapping motives, understand the why behind behavior, anticipating traps, predict pitfalls before they hit, maintain internal calm, anchor yourself under pressure, act decisively, respond at the right moment with precision. When practiced consistently, you move through chaos unshaken. You command situations instead of being consumed by them. You influence outcomes without surrendering to emotion. You become the calm in every storm. That is mastery. That is discipline. That is leadership. Know the storm, predict the storm, move through it unscathed. You have now learned to identify hidden motives, spot manipulation, and navigate traps without surrendering your power. You have seen that awareness and strategy are more important than reaction. You have discovered that calm and disciplined observation is your greatest weapon. Now it's time to combine these principles to act decisively in high-stakes decisions.
Stop reacting. Stop letting the world dictate your moves. Stop surrendering to impulse. The truth is simple. Discipline over reaction wins every time. That's the key. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Most people believe speed equals strength. They react instantly to emails, texts, provocations, or chaos around them. They think impulsivity shows courage. Wrong. Impulsivity is weakness disguised as action. Every reaction without strategy is surrender. You have a choice. You can react, or you can respond deliberately. That choice is yours, always. Deliberate response begins with a pause. Every situation, every trigger, every high-pressure moment deserves a brief but deliberate pause. Most people skip this step. They jump, flail, and regret. Not you. You pause. You collect your thoughts. You assess the terrain. You anchor yourself. That is discipline. That is power. That is influence in action. Repeat. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Let's look at the principle in action. Athletes under pressure. A quarterback in the final seconds of a game does not react to the noise of the crowd, the taunts of the defense, or the ticking clock. He reads the field. He anticipates. He pauses. He executes. Every throw is deliberate. Every move is precise. Every win is earned silently. That is the lesson. That is strategy. That is deliberate response. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Military leaders operate the same way. Under fire, decisions must be accurate, precise, and calculated. Reacting emotionally can cost lives. Deliberate response ensures survival, control, and success. Observation, analysis, and timing are non-negotiable. Most people react with panic or impulse. You respond with mastery. That is power. That is calm. That is the principle of deliberate response. Repeat. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Step 1. Anchor your mind. Pressure clouds judgment. Chaos triggers instinctual reactions. Anchor yourself physically and mentally. Breathe deliberately. Center your focus. Ground yourself in reality, not fear, not ego. Internal stability allows external mastery. Without it, response fails. With it, influence grows. That is your choice. That is discipline. That is power. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Step 2. Assess the situation. Most people respond without context. They react to noise, emotion, or assumptions. You decode. You analyze motives, consequences, and options. You predict reactions. You calculate outcomes. This is the strategic layer. Without analysis, your actions are blind. With analysis, your actions are precise. That is advantage. That is leverage. That is deliberate response. Repeat. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Step 3. Choose action deliberately. Not every trigger requires a move. Not every insult requires a retort. Not every opportunity requires immediate execution. Discipline is knowing when to act and when to wait. Decisive action comes from preparation, not impulse. This is control. This is mastery. This is the silent authority of the deliberate responder. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Consider real-world applications. Corporate crises. A manager receives hostile feedback from the board. Most would react defensively, losing credibility. You pause, assess, and respond strategically with solutions, not excuses. Influence grows. Chaos diminishes. Success is earned silently. Personal relationships. A provocation triggers anger. Most people react emotionally, escalating conflict. You pause. You assess intent. You respond with measured words, restoring balance and control. Calm becomes contagious. Respect multiplies. High-stakes negotiation. Opponents make aggressive demands. Most people match aggression. You pause. You plan a measured counteroffer. You strike with precision when opportunity peaks. The deal shifts in your favor. Control is regained. Power is asserted. Repetition is essential here. Internalize it. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. These 4 words are your mantra under pressure. They are the difference between surrender and mastery, between chaos and command, between failure and success. Speak them, think them, live them. Let them become instinct. Let them guide every reaction. Let them shape every outcome. Let's be clear, deliberate response is not passive. Pausing is not hesitation. Analysis is not procrastination. Discipline is not weakness. It is strength disguised as stillness. It is authority disguised as patience. It is victory disguised as calm. Most people mistake silence and observation for inaction. You know the truth. Preparation precedes domination. That is the discipline. That is mastery. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Here's a practical exercise for daily life. The next time a trigger occurs, email, meeting, conflict, criticism, pause. Do not respond immediately. Anchor yourself. Control your physical and emotional state. Assess the situation. Identify facts, motives, options, and potential outcomes. Avoid assumptions. Avoid emotional hijacking. Plan a deliberate response. Choose words, timing, and action that maximize influence and control. Execute your response precisely. Observe impact. Adjust if necessary. Reflect after the situation. Internalize lessons. Do this repeatedly. Make it habitual. Let deliberate response become your default mode. Chaos will no longer dictate your actions. Pressure will no longer erode your judgment. Others' emotions will no longer sway you. That is control. That is authority. That is calm in the crossfire. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. Another truth is that most people live life in reactive mode. They are carried by emotion, circumstance, and other people's agendas. That is surrender. That is wasted potential. You do not live that way. You anchor. You observe. You plan. You strike deliberately. You win silently. You have a choice. You always have a choice. That is the principle. That is power. That is discipline. Repeat. Pause. Plan, strike, win silently. Combine this chapter with the previous lessons.
Anchor yourself in calm. Speak less to influence more. Decode chaos. Transform impulses into deliberate action. The synergy of these disciplines creates unstoppable presence. Others react. You respond. Others panic. You plan. Others surrender. You win silently. This is the path to mastery under pressure. This is how you become the calm center of every storm. This is how you dominate without aggression. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. In summary, deliberate response requires 4 pillars. Pause, stop impulsive reactions, anchor your mind and body. Plan, analyze facts, motives, and potential outcomes. Predict the storm. Strike, execute precise, calculated action at the right moment. Win silently, influence and control outcomes without chaos or noise. When practiced consistently, you transform from a reactor into a commander, from a victim of circumstance into a master of influence, from a participant in chaos into the calm center of every storm. Discipline over impulse always wins. Calm over chaos always prevails. Authority over noise always dominates. Pause, plan, strike, win silently. You have now learned to transform reactive impulses into deliberate strategic actions. You have learned that calm, anchored observation and calculated response are more powerful than speed, volume, or emotion. You have discovered that discipline under pressure is the greatest weapon. Now it's time to bring all your learned principles together into unstoppable mastery.
Stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying. Stop reacting to every provocation. The world is full of chaos, manipulation, and emotional sabotage. That's the key. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Most people believe responding equals strength. They think speaking quickly or defending themselves proves authority. Wrong. Immediate reactions are weakness disguised as courage. Every over-explained response is a crack in your armor. You have a choice. You can give away power, or you can protect it with silence. That choice is yours, always. Silence is more than absence of speech. Silence is presence. Silence is control. Silence signals confidence. It signals observation. It signals mastery. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill gaps with words. You don't. You use silence strategically. You allow it to shield you from manipulation. You allow it to block emotional sabotage. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Consider CEOs in high-pressure situations. Competitors provoke, investors panic, employees complain. Most leaders react immediately, trying to explain, placate, or justify. Chaos escalates, reputation falters, deals are lost. The disciplined CEO, however, observes. She pauses, she evaluates, she responds selectively or not at all. Her silence protects her authority, shields her influence, and lets others reveal their intentions. That is mastery. That is power. That is silence as a shield. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Here's a principle. Not all words are worth saying. Most people speak to be heard, to assert themselves, to defend ego. You speak with purpose, or not at all. Every unnecessary word dilutes authority. Every unmeasured response exposes weakness. Every reaction feeds chaos. Silence, in contrast, amplifies presence. Silence commands attention without aggression. Silence preserves strength without effort. Repeat, silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Step 1. Pause before speaking. Every trigger, provocation, or high-pressure situation deserves a brief but deliberate pause.
Most people jump, flail, and reveal vulnerability. Not you. You pause. You observe. You assess the situation. You choose carefully whether to speak. Discipline under pressure is armor. That is strength disguised as stillness. That is authority disguised as quiet. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Step 2. Use silence to gather information. Most reactions are blind. They respond to emotion, assumption, or pressure. You decode. You listen. You watch. You notice subtle cues, tone, body language, timing. You identify motives. You anticipate manipulation. You understand the landscape before acting. That is foresight. That is strategic advantage. That is deliberate command. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Step 3. Control the narrative without speaking. Most people think they must explain or justify to maintain influence. Not you. Your silence controls perception. It forces others to react. It turns manipulation back onto those who attempt it. Silence preserves your position. Silence strengthens your authority. Silence allows your presence to speak louder than words ever could. That is mastery. That is strategy. That is victory. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Step 4. Silence shields you against emotional sabotage. Most people allow provocations, insults, and criticism to dictate their responses. Their moods fluctuate, their judgment falters, their influence erodes. Not you. Your silence acts as a buffer. It protects your emotional state. It prevents chaos from infiltrating your decisions. It prevents others from stealing your power. That is discipline. That is calm. That is your shield in action. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Step 5. Deploy silence as a tool for influence. Most people underestimate the power of quiet. You leverage it. In meetings, negotiations, and conflicts, deliberate pauses make others reveal more than intended. Strategic silence amplifies impact when you do speak. Authority becomes magnetic. Presence becomes undeniable. Outcomes bend toward your control, without aggression, without noise. That is influence. That is leadership. That is the power of disciplined silence. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Here's a practical scenario. A colleague tries to provoke you in front of the team. Most people would respond defensively, escalating tension. You pause. You observe. You respond with a calm, precise statement, or you don't respond at all. Your silence protects your reputation. Your authority remains intact. Your influence grows. The provocateur exposes their weakness. You remain unshaken. That is mastery. That is discipline. That is victory through silence. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Another example. High-stakes negotiations. Opponents bluff, threaten, and manipulate to provoke concessions. Most negotiators respond too quickly, revealing desperation or weakness. Not you. You pause. You listen. You remain unflustered. Your silence creates pressure. Your words, when chosen, carry maximum weight. Deals tilt in your favor. Power consolidates silently. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Here's a practical exercise for daily application. During conversations or meetings, identify moments where you instinctively react. Pause instead. Anchor yourself. Observe silently. Ask yourself, is my response necessary? Will my words add authority or dilute it? Practice speaking less. Let silence carry your presence. Let your calm influence outcomes. Reflect after interactions. Notice how silence changed the dynamic, shifted power, or revealed intentions. Consistency builds mastery. The more you use silence as a shield, the others respect it, fear it, or follow it. Chaos loses its grip. Manipulators falter. Emotional sabotage fails. Influence grows. Presence multiplies. That is discipline. That is authority. That is the calm in the crossfire. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Remember, silence does not mean inaction. Silence is strategic. Silence is calculated. Silence is deliberate. It is a weapon disguised as restraint. It is armor disguised as composure. It is victory disguised as stillness. Most people confuse noise with action. You know the truth. Silence conquers without effort, shields without aggression, and commands without reaction. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. Combine this lesson with everything you've learned so far. Pause, observe, and respond deliberately. Speak less to influence more. Decode chaos around you. Anchor yourself internally. When mastered, silence becomes an impenetrable shield. Words become precise weapons. Calm becomes contagious. Influence becomes automatic. Authority becomes unquestioned. That is mastery under pressure. That is transformation. That is your edge. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. In summary, using silence as a shield requires 5 pillars. Pause before reacting. Stop surrendering to impulsive emotions. Anchor yourself. Observe and decode. Identify motives, manipulation, and hidden intentions. Control the narrative. Let your presence speak without over-explaining. Shield your emotions. Prevent provocations from dictating your state. Leverage silence for influence. Amplify impact when you choose to speak. When practiced consistently, silence protects, influences, and strengthens you. Chaos loses power over you. Manipulators falter. Emotional sabotage becomes ineffective. Calm becomes your currency. Authority becomes your default. That is discipline. That is authority. That is the calm in the crossfire. Repeat. Silence is armor. Silence is strategy. Silence is victory. You have now learned to use quiet as protection, strategy, and
Stop underestimating small gestures. Stop thinking only grand actions matter. Stop ignoring the tiny cues that betray you. Every twitch, every glance, every pause communicates more than words ever could. That's the key. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Most people believe strength is shown in big moments. They think dominance is loud. They think influence is visible in gestures of power. Wrong. True authority is silent, subtle, and disciplined. It is in the micro-reactions. It is in the controlled twitch of a hand, the calm nod, the unflinching gaze. You have a choice. You can let your micro-reactions betray your mind, or you can command them deliberately. That choice is yours, always. Micro-reactions are the unspoken language of influence. Most people ignore it. They think only what they say matters. They fail to notice the way their bodies, eyes, and tone reveal their state. You notice. You observe. You control. You harness the hidden power of your presence. That is mastery. That is authority. That is calm in every crossfire. Repeat. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Consider professional meetings. A single raised eyebrow, a subtle nod, or a measured pause can alter the entire room. Most participants react impulsively, filling gaps with nervous chatter, revealing insecurity. You do not. You understand the weight of subtle signals. You project confidence through stillness. You communicate strength silently. You shape perception without aggression. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement.
Step 1. Control facial expressions. Most people let emotions leak through micro-expressions, a frown, a grimace, a fleeting smile of discomfort. Those tiny gestures betray fear, irritation, or uncertainty. You anchor your face in calm. You neutralize involuntary expressions. You allow subtle, deliberate gestures to convey authority. Your eyes communicate focus. Your jaw communicates determination. Your posture communicates control. Repeat, every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Step 2. Master your tone and pacing. Most people rush speech when nervous or reactive. Every hurried word signals panic. Every abrupt tone invites challenge. Not you. You speak measuredly. You let silence punctuate meaning. You let pauses create anticipation. Every word is deliberate. Every phrase carries weight. Influence is built not by volume, but by precision. That is control. That is discipline. That is mastery. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Step 3. Command posture and gestures. Your hands, feet, and body communicate more than your voice. Most people fidget, tap, or shift under pressure. Micro-movements reveal uncertainty. Not you. You anchor. You ground. You move deliberately. Every gesture becomes purposeful. Every stance communicates calm authority. Every motion or deliberate stillness shapes perception. Discipline in micro-movement signals dominance without words. Repeat, every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Step 4. Observe micro-reactions in others. Power is not only in control over yourself, it is in reading subtle cues from others. A twitch of a hand, a brief hesitation, a micro-nod, all reveal intent, emotion, and opportunity. Most people overlook these details, reacting blindly. You notice. You decode. You anticipate. You adjust strategy in real time. That is influence. That is authority. That is calm in the crossfire. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Here's a real-world professional example. A negotiation hangs in balance. Most negotiators rush, raise voices, or over-explain to assert dominance. They fail. You watch micro-reactions, a fleeting glance, a quick tightening of fingers, a subtle pause. You adjust approach. You speak calmly. You time each word precisely. You let silence amplify meaning. You let pauses create anticipation. Every word is deliberate. Every phrase carries weight. Influence is built not by volume, but by precision. That is control. That is discipline. That is mastery. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Step 5. Micro-reactions influence social dynamics. In everyday interactions, subtle cues establish hierarchy and trust. Most people smile nervously, nod excessively, or mirror impulsively. That signals submission. You, however, smile deliberately. You nod selectively. You mirror strategically. Your micro-reactions create perception of confidence, control, and authority. People follow instinctively. They defer unconsciously. That is discipline. That is mastery. That is silent command. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Exercise for mastery. Mirror practice. Observe yourself in a mirror during conversation. Note uncontrolled facial expressions, gestures, and posture. Anchor and adjust. Pause practice. Deliberately pause before responding in conversations. Let silence convey thoughtfulness and authority. Hand movement discipline. Monitor hand movements, foot tapping, and shifts in weight. Convert all motion into deliberate signals of calm and control. Observation practice. In meetings or social settings, study others' micro-reactions. Anticipate intentions. Adjust your strategy. Consistency transforms micro-reactions into instinct. Your presence becomes commanding without words. Your influence becomes automatic. Your authority becomes undeniable. Most people never realize how much micro-reactions shape outcomes. You now know the truth. Control the small, and you control the large. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Remember, even the smallest signals can betray or protect. Even the tiniest gesture can escalate or diffuse tension. Even the briefest pause can create dominance or weakness. Most people ignore this reality. Not you. You master it. You command the invisible language of influence. You shape perception without a word. That is discipline. That is strategy. That is calm in the crossfire. Repeat, every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. Combine this chapter with the lessons from previous chapters. Pause and respond deliberately under pressure. Decode chaos in all forms. Use silence as armor. Control micro-reactions to command presence. When practiced together, these principles create unstoppable mastery. People react, you respond. People panic, you remain anchored. People manipulate, you observe and counter silently. Influence becomes effortless. Authority becomes magnetic. Calm becomes your default state. That is transformation. That is power. That is victory. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. In summary, mastering micro-reactions requires 5 pillars. Control facial expressions. Let calm override emotion. Convey authority with subtle cues. Master tone and pacing. Speak with precision. Let silence amplify meaning. Command gestures and posture. Move deliberately. Anchor every action in discipline. Observe others' micro-reactions. Anticipate intentions. Adjust your strategy. Integrate into daily interactions. Apply consistently. Influence multiplies. Presence dominates. When practiced consistently, micro-reactions become instinctive. They amplify your calm under pressure, protect your authority, and project influence silently. The smallest gestures reveal strength or weakness. The slightest pause conveys dominance. The tiniest adjustment commands respect. That is discipline. That is mastery. That is calm in the crossfire. Every twitch is a message. Every pause is a statement. You have now learned to control not just big actions, not just words, not just visible behavior, but the subtle, silent micro-signals that define presence, influence, and authority. You have learned that small movements, gestures, and pauses can make or break every outcome in life, business, and relationships. You have discovered that mastery is built in the invisible details. And now, with all chapters combined, it is time to command every moment, dominate every interaction, and embody calm in every crossfire.
Stop chasing constant motion. Stop thinking action alone equals power. Stop reacting to every ping, prompt, or provocation. Stillness is not inaction. Stillness is control. Stillness is discipline. That's the key. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Most people mistake busyness for progress. They fill every moment with noise, tasks, and reactions. They confuse frantic energy with competence. Wrong. True influence is rooted in calm. True authority grows in silence. True strength is measured by how composed you remain under pressure. You have a choice. You can rush with chaos, or you can anchor in stillness. That choice is yours, always. Stillness is more than absence of movement. Stillness is presence. Stillness is observation. Stillness amplifies perception. Stillness allows you to see what others cannot. Most people are blind in chaos. They react impulsively. They speak too quickly. They move too soon. You pause. You center. You expand your awareness. That is power. That is influence. That is mastery. Repeat. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Consider meditation masters. They sit in silence for hours. Most would call it passive. Yet in stillness, they cultivate extraordinary focus, resilience, and clarity.
The mind untangles itself, emotions settle, decisions sharpen. Their presence becomes magnetic, calm becomes contagious, influence grows silently. That is discipline. That is mastery. That is stillness in action. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Step 1. Control your physical stillness. Most people fidget, pace, tap, or shift under tension. Micro-movements reveal anxiety, impatience, or distraction. You anchor. You ground your body. Feet planted, shoulders relaxed, hands calm, spine straight. Every muscle signals composure. Even subtle control communicates authority. That is silent influence. That is calm in the crossfire. Repeat, stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Step 2. Cultivate mental stillness. Most minds race, planning, worrying, reacting. Most people allow internal noise to dictate action. Not you. You practice observation without judgment. You anchor awareness in the present moment. Thoughts are noted, not chased. Emotions are felt, not acted upon. Calm becomes habitual. Clarity emerges naturally. Influence flows effortlessly. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Step 3. Use stillness to amplify decision-making. Athletes and negotiators alike know this truth. The champion tennis player waits, poised before the serve. The skilled negotiator lets silence fill the room, observing reactions before responding. In that stillness lies power. Rushing leads to errors. Overreacting invites chaos. Anchored calm reveals opportunities hidden to frantic minds. That is strategic advantage. That is mastery. That is stillness as energy. Repeat, stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Step 4. Project calm to influence others. Most people respond to emotion with emotion. Panic invites panic. Anger invites anger. Calm invites calm. Stillness radiates authority. Teams, peers, and adversaries instinctively align with composed presence. Silence carries weight. Measured movement commands respect. Composed observation shapes behavior without a word. That is power. That is presence. That is discipline. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Real-world application. Sports legends. A quarterback scans the field before throwing. Every micropause, every deliberate movement, every breath is calculated. Action is precise, purposeful, and unstoppable. Stillness is the hidden energy that fuels performance. Negotiators and leaders. In tense boardrooms, silence can be a weapon. Most react to pressure or provocation. The calm negotiator observes, pauses, and chooses the moment to act. Influence is amplified. Power is consolidated. Outcomes favor the prepared, not the reactive. Daily life. Emails, messages, and social provocations constantly demand attention. Most respond immediately, losing control over perception and energy. You pause. You breathe. You choose when and if to respond. Your calm presence protects mental clarity and maintains authority. Step 5. Integrate stillness into daily practice. This is non-negotiable for mastery. Begin the day with deliberate stillness. 5 minutes of mindful breathing anchors presence. Between high-stress tasks or meetings, pause. Observe internal state. Reset mental clarity. In conversations, use deliberate pauses. Allow your words, tone, and gestures to carry weight. Reflect at night. Observe how stillness influenced outcomes, decisions, and influence. Discipline in stillness is a multiplier. The calmer you are internally, the more influence you have externally. Most people do not realize that energy spreads. Your calm becomes contagious. Your stillness dominates space. Your clarity guides decisions. That is mastery. That is authority. That is the power of stillness in every crossfire. Repeat, stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Remember, stillness is not passive. It is not weakness. It is active presence. It is anchored observation. It is deliberate, disciplined power expressed quietly. Most people mistake stillness for idleness. You know better. Stillness is the foundation for decisive action, strategic influence, and unstoppable authority. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Combine stillness with lessons from previous chapters. Pause before reacting to chaos. Use silence as a shield. Decode micro-reactions in others. Respond deliberately, not impulsively. When combined, these principles create unstoppable calm. People react, you respond. People panic, you observe. People manipulate, you remain anchored. Influence becomes effortless. Authority becomes magnetic. Presence becomes unshakable. That is transformation. That is power. That is calm in the crossfire. Repeat, stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. In summary, mastering the energy of stillness requires 4 pillars. Physical stillness, anchor your body, control micro-movements, signal calm authority. Mental stillness, observe thoughts and emotions without reacting, center awareness in the present moment. Strategic stillness, use pause to amplify decisions, leverage influence, and anticipate outcomes. Radiate calm, guide others through presence, not volume. Let stillness become contagious. When practiced consistently, stillness transforms you. It amplifies power, influence, and clarity. It shields you from chaos. It strengthens authority. It converts pressure into opportunity. That is discipline. That is mastery. That is calm in the crossfire. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is control. Now, with stillness as your energy, you are ready to integrate all principles learned in this audiobook. Deliberate response, silence, micro-reactions, and anchored calm. Every storm you face, every crossfire you enter, you carry the discipline, the presence, and the authority to command outcomes. That is mastery. That is transformation. That is calm in the crossfire.
Stop taking the bait. Stop reacting to every insult, criticism, or attack. Stop letting others' chaos control your mind. That's the key. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Most people believe every provocation requires a response. They think silence is weakness. They think letting go equals surrender. Wrong. True mastery is detachment. True strength is self-possession. True authority is calm amid storms. You have a choice. You can let every insult, criticism, or attack dictate your emotions, or you can step back, observe, and retain control. That choice is yours, always. Detachment is not apathy. Detachment is clarity. Detachment is perspective. Detachment is discipline. Most people confuse ignoring with disconnecting. You do not. You observe without absorbing. You see the attack, the provocation, the manipulation, but you do not internalize it. You retain your power. You maintain your focus. You dominate the moment, unshaken. Repeat, their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Consider customer service crises. A client shouts, complains, and tries to provoke an emotional reaction. Most employees respond defensively, escalating conflict. Not you.
You detach. You listen without judgment. You acknowledge facts, not emotions. You control the outcome without surrendering composure. Your calm resolves the problem. Your authority protects the interaction. That is mastery. That is discipline. That is detachment in action. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Step 1. Recognize the provocation. Most people react before they even perceive the intent. Every tweet, email, complaint, or comment is immediately internalized. You pause. You observe. You identify the motive, the context, the emotional weight. You separate their agenda from your reality. That is clarity. That is self-control. That is power. Repeat. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Step 2. Reframe attacks as reflections. Every provocation reveals more about the attacker than it does about you. Their rage, insecurity, or manipulation is theirs, not yours. You reflect, but you do not absorb. You maintain perspective. You understand that their chaos is a mirror of weakness, not a threat to your strength. That is insight. That is discipline. That is detachment. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Step 3. Respond deliberately or not at all. Most people respond instantly, letting ego dictate the reaction. That is surrender, not you. You choose words, tone, and timing carefully, or you choose silence. Silence becomes your shield. Measured speech becomes your weapon. Deliberate response asserts authority without aggression. The attacker reveals weakness. You maintain dominance. Repeat. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Step 4. Anchor in internal calm. Provocations are designed to destabilize. Most people allow external chaos to penetrate their mental state. You do not. You ground yourself in discipline. You breathe. You visualize control. You recall previous victories of composure. You let internal calm dictate external action. That is strength. That is strategy. That is mastery. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Here's a practical example. Office politics can feel like a battlefield. Gossip spreads. Provocations fly. Colleagues attempt to destabilize you. Most people react with defensiveness or counterattacks. You pause. You observe. You detach. You understand their insecurities and motives without letting them control your mood. Your decisions are informed, not emotional. Your presence commands respect without aggression. That is discipline. That is authority. That is detachment as power. Repeat. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Step 5. Use detachment to maintain focus on outcomes. Most people get lost in the drama of provocation. They waste energy reacting emotionally. Not you. You focus on results. You isolate what matters: objectives, influence, and strategy. You filter noise. You move deliberately. Every action serves your goals. Every pause preserves energy. Every detached moment strengthens presence. That is mastery. That is efficiency. That is calm in action. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Exercise for building detachment. Observe triggers. Identify situations, people, or messages that usually provoke strong emotional reactions. Pause before responding. Take at least 5 seconds to assess before reacting. Breathe, observe, and detach. Reframe mentally. Remind yourself, This chaos is theirs. My calm is mine. Repeat silently. Respond deliberately or not at all. Choose words and tone with intention, or allow silence to communicate authority. Reflect post-interaction. Note the difference between reacting and detaching. Build awareness into habit. Consistency transforms detachment from a concept into instinct. The more you practice, the less others control your emotions. The more you detach, the more your authority increases. People attempt provocation and you remain unshaken. Energy, influence, and respect multiply. Chaos loses power over you. That is discipline. That is strategy. That is calm in the crossfire. Repeat, their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Remember, detachment is not avoidance. It is mastery. It is control. It is power under pressure. Every insult, critique, or attack can be neutralized by composure. Every provocation can be used as an opportunity to demonstrate authority. Most people fall into the trap of taking attacks personally. Not you. You see the reflection. You understand the motive. You retain control. That is discipline. That is dominance. That is calm in every crossfire. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. Combine this lesson with prior chapters. Silence as a shield protects from manipulation. Micro-reactions convey calm authority. Stillness amplifies presence and control. Detachment ensures emotional sovereignty. When applied together, these principles create an unshakable leader. Chaos triggers others. It does not touch you. Provocations reveal weakness. They do not erode your strength. Influence spreads effortlessly. Calm becomes magnetic. Authority becomes unquestioned. That is transformation. That is power. That is victory. Repeat. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. In summary, detaching from provocation requires 5 pillars. Recognize triggers. Observe without immediate reaction. Anchor yourself mentally. Reframe attacks. Understand provocations as reflections of the other person, not threats. Respond deliberately or not at all. Let silence and precision command authority. Anchor in internal calm. Preserve emotional state. Ground yourself in discipline. Focus on outcomes. Filter chaos. Prioritize results. Move with deliberate strategy. When mastered, detachment turns potential chaos into a source of power. It allows you to dominate conversations, negotiations, and interactions without losing composure. You maintain clarity, preserve energy, and project authority at all times. That is discipline. That is strategy. That is calm in the crossfire. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate. You have now learned to see attacks for what they are, to detach from the noise, and to maintain absolute calm in the face of provocation. Your mind is no longer hijacked by others' chaos. Your presence commands respect. Your decisions remain deliberate. Your authority is unshakable. Every provocation is an opportunity to demonstrate mastery. Every interaction reinforces control. That is your transformation. That is your edge. Their chaos is theirs. Your calm is yours. Detach, dominate.
Stop thinking leadership is about volume. Stop believing dominance requires aggression. Stop assuming authority comes from intimidation. That's the key. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Most people equate leadership with being the loudest voice in the room. They think authority is measured by how forcefully they command attention. Wrong.
True leaders command without drama. True leaders influence without noise. True leaders win without reaction. You have a choice. You can lead through anger, impulse, or volume, or you can lead with composure, calm, and calculated authority. That choice is yours, always. Leadership begins with self-mastery. Most people attempt to lead while reactive, emotionally swayed, or externally dependent. Not you. You anchor in stillness. You control micro-reactions. You detach from provocation. You understand that leadership starts with the way you manage yourself, not others. That is the foundation. That is the discipline. That is the quiet advantage. Repeat. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Consider the corporate world. CEOs who dominate through aggression inspire fear but not loyalty. They burn out their teams, provoke resistance, and struggle to sustain results. The quiet CEO observes, listens, and acts deliberately. They communicate with measured words. They let actions speak louder than announcements. They win respect silently. Influence becomes natural. Authority becomes magnetic. Discipline, not volume, becomes the currency of leadership. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Step 1. Control presence. Most leaders focus on tasks, neglecting their presence. They fail to realize that authority is projected, not demanded. You project calm confidence through posture, tone, and deliberate action. You let micro-reactions convey competence and stability. You demonstrate command before a word is spoken. Presence becomes influence. Presence becomes authority. Presence becomes leadership. Repeat. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Step 2. Control speech. Most leaders speak to dominate, interrupt, or prove superiority. That is reaction, not you. You speak deliberately. You pause to listen. You allow silence to create weight. Every word carries purpose. Every statement communicates confidence. You influence without aggression. You persuade without confrontation. That is power. That is discipline. That is the quiet advantage. Repeat. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Consider the boardroom scenario. Loud leaders clash, argue, and attempt to overpower each other. Decisions are delayed. Teams are fractured. Results suffer. Quiet leaders observe. They listen. They interject only when meaningful. Their calm becomes persuasive. Their presence becomes decisive. Their authority guides outcomes without force. That is strategy. That is mastery. That is the quiet advantage in leadership. Repeat. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Step 5. Cultivate resilience under pressure. Most leaders crumble when challenged publicly. They react defensively, escalate conflicts, or display frustration. Not you. You anchor in internal calm. You detach from provocation. You control micro-reactions. You respond deliberately or remain silent. Your team senses stability. Your adversaries recognize discipline. Your influence grows exponentially. Repeat. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Step 6. Empower through example. Most leaders rely on authority to enforce behavior. That is fleeting. True leaders inspire through demonstration. By maintaining composure, detachment, and strategic calm, you teach others discipline. You influence culture silently. You embed authority in action, not words. Leadership becomes replication. Authority becomes pervasive. Success becomes sustainable. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Here's a practical example. A CEO faces a sudden crisis.
Most executives panic, call emergency meetings, or lash out at staff. You observe, you assess, you prioritize, you respond with calm authority. Every decision is calculated, every communication measured. Teams follow instinctively, influence spreads naturally. The crisis is handled efficiently, authority is reinforced effortlessly. Repeat, lead without shouting, influence without noise, win without reaction. Step 7. Manage perception. Most leaders believe visibility equals credibility, not you. Influence grows quietly. Presence, composure, and strategic action define how others perceive you. You let results, demeanor, and discipline speak. Noise is unnecessary. Volume is optional. Quiet authority carries more weight than temporary attention. That is the quiet advantage. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. Exercise for cultivating the quiet advantage. Observe micro-reactions. Note how people respond to your presence and gestures. Adjust for calm authority. Practice deliberate speech. Pause, weigh words, and avoid reactive communication. Anchor in stillness. Meditate, breathe, or visualize calm before high-pressure situations. Reframe challenges. Treat provocation, criticism, and conflict as reflections of others, not threats to you. Lead by example. Demonstrate calm authority in all interactions. Influence spreads silently. Consistency transforms quiet leadership into instinctive mastery. You no longer need to assert dominance. You do not need to react aggressively. Your presence commands respect. Your decisions carry weight. Your influence spreads without words. You have cultivated the rare advantage of authority rooted in calm, composure, and discipline. Repeat, lead without shouting, influence without noise, win without reaction. Remember, leadership is not volume. Leadership is control. Leadership is discipline. Leadership is influence delivered without reaction. Every loud voice reveals insecurity. Every calm leader projects mastery. Every silent action creates magnetic authority. Those who master the quiet advantage dominate rooms, meetings, negotiations, and teams without chaos, noise, or reaction. That is the pinnacle of power. That is the ultimate form of calm in the crossfire. Lead without shouting. Influence without noise, win without reaction. Combine this chapter with previous lessons. Control micro-reactions to communicate calm authority. Detach from provocation to maintain clarity. Use silence as a shield in tense interactions. Anchor in stillness to amplify influence. When applied together, these principles create leaders who are unstoppable. Teams follow instinctively. Competitors respect silently. Decisions are deliberate. Influence becomes effortless. Authority is undeniable. Calm becomes your default state. That is transformation. That is mastery. That is victory. Repeat, lead without shouting. Influence without noise. Win without reaction. In summary, the quiet advantage in leadership requires 7 pillars. Control presence. Project calm and confidence through posture and micro-reactions. Control speech. Speak deliberately, pause strategically, and avoid reactive communication. Listen actively. Decode intentions, anticipate outcomes, and adjust strategy. Act deliberately. Execute precise, intentional actions aligned with goals. Cultivate resilience under pressure. Anchor in calm under pressure. Detach from provocation. Empower through example. Teach discipline and influence through demonstration. Manage perception. Let results, demeanor, and discipline define credibility. When mastered, these pillars create a leader who influences without chaos, commands respect without aggression, and wins without reaction. You have now learned that true authority is quiet, deliberate, and composed. You have discovered that calm is the ultimate currency of influence. You have unlocked the quiet advantage in leadership. Lead without shouting, influence without noise, win without reaction.
Stop fearing pressure. Stop assuming stress is a threat. Stop believing high-stakes moments are your enemy. That's the key. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Most people shrink under stress. They panic, they make impulsive decisions, they allow tension to dictate actions. That is surrender, not you. You have a choice. You can let pressure control you, or you can harness it as fuel for clarity, focus, and unstoppable action. That choice is yours, always. Pressure is inevitable. Life throws high-stakes moments, unexpected crises, and testing situations at everyone. Most people see pressure as a threat. You see it as opportunity. You understand that stress is energy waiting to be directed. Pressure is not the enemy. It is a magnifier. It magnifies your weaknesses if unprepared. It magnifies your strengths if disciplined. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 1. Recognize pressure without judgment. Most people allow stress to trigger fear, self-doubt, or emotional reactivity. That is surrender, not you. You observe the pressure. You name it. You acknowledge the stakes without panic. This creates mental clarity. This creates control. This turns anxiety into actionable insight. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Consider athletes in championship moments. Most crumble under expectation. Their thoughts scatter, movements become sloppy, results collapse. Champions, however, anchor themselves in presence. They breathe, they focus on what they can control. They translate pressure into precision. Every muscle, every decision, every movement is optimized. They perform at peak levels because they do not fight the pressure, they channel it. That is mastery. That is discipline. That is transformation. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 2. Convert adrenaline into strategic action. Stress triggers physiological responses. Heart rate spikes, blood pressure rises, cortisol surges. Most people interpret this as panic, not you. You interpret it as readiness. You channel the rush into deliberate movement. You plan, execute, and refine under pressure. You turn instinct into strategy. You let energy sharpen focus instead of scatter it. That is precision. That is power. That is control. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 3. Maintain composure when stakes are high. Most people react impulsively when confronted with crises, heated emails, rash decisions, aggressive confrontations. Not you. You pause, you evaluate, you act deliberately. Composure under pressure projects authority. Composure under pressure preserves energy. Composure under pressure allows for maximum effectiveness. Remember, pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 4. Visualize success before execution. Most people face pressure blindly. They hope for the best. You do not. You anticipate challenges. You map contingencies. You mentally rehearse solutions. Visualization under pressure builds confidence. Visualization under pressure builds precision. Visualization under pressure builds resilience. You enter critical moments prepared mentally, physically, and emotionally. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 5. Use detachment to prevent emotional hijacking. Most people take pressure personally. Criticism, expectation, or high stakes trigger ego responses. That is surrender, not you. You detach. You observe. You recognize that external pressures are not a measure of your worth. They are a test of your discipline. You remain objective. You act strategically. You convert external tension into internal strength. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 6. Practice micro-discipline consistently. Most people only perform under pressure when circumstances demand, not you. You train your responses daily. Control micro-reactions, anchor and calm, maintain focus, and regulate breathing. This builds automatic resilience. When high-pressure moments arrive, your habits carry you. Precision becomes instinct. Calm becomes default. Pressure becomes ally. Pressure sharpens. Pressure focuses. Pressure empowers.
Consider crisis managers in high-stakes scenarios. Emergencies, disasters, or unexpected failures can paralyze teams. Most leaders falter, panic, or overreact. Strategic leaders observe, prioritize, and deploy resources efficiently. Every action is intentional. Every communication is deliberate. Every decision is optimized. They turn chaos into order, stress into clarity, and urgency into precision. That is mastery under pressure. That is the quiet edge in every crossfire. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 7. Embrace accountability under stress. Most people blame circumstances, others, or luck when pressure peaks, not you. You own outcomes. You assess honestly. You accept responsibility without ego interference. Ownership turns pressure into actionable insight. Ownership converts mistakes into lessons. Ownership amplifies resilience. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 8. Reinforce success through reflection. High-pressure moments provide feedback loops. Most people ignore lessons, repeating the same mistakes under stress, not you. You analyze, you adjust, you refine your strategies, communication, and decision-making. Each pressure test strengthens performance in future moments. Each reflection builds mastery. Each evaluation enhances discipline. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Step 9. Combine stillness with action. Most people panic under pressure because they move before thinking, not you. You anchor in internal calm. You breathe, you plan, then you act. Movement becomes precise. Action becomes deliberate. Pressure becomes fuel, not foe. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Practical exercise to convert pressure into precision. Identify high-pressure triggers. Map situations that normally elicit stress, deadlines, confrontations, emergencies. Pause and assess. Take 3 deep breaths before responding to stress. Observe internal state. Recognize physiological responses. Reframe stress. Tell yourself, this pressure is energy. I will channel it. Act deliberately. Choose strategic actions over impulsive reactions. Prioritize high-impact moves. Reflect post-event. Evaluate what worked, what didn't, and how precision under pressure can improve. Consistency transforms pressure from threat into ally. You no longer fear critical moments. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer surrender control. High-stakes situations now become opportunities for mastery. High-stakes situations now become arenas for demonstrating calm, focus, and strategic action. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Remember, pressure is inevitable, but your response is your choice. Most people let fear, ego, or impulsivity dictate performance, not you. You harness pressure. You refine focus. You convert stress into energy. You execute with precision. You perform at a level most will never achieve because they let pressure control them. You dominate where others falter. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. Combine this chapter with prior lessons. Detach from provocation to prevent emotional hijacking. Anchor in stillness to maintain clarity under chaos. Control micro-reactions to project calm authority. Turn tension into fuel for deliberate action. When applied together, these principles create a mindset that thrives under pressure. Crisis becomes clarity, stress becomes energy, chaos becomes order, calm becomes authority, mastery becomes visible. That is transformation. That is power. That is the quiet edge in every crossfire. Repeat. Pressure sharpens, pressure focuses, pressure empowers. In summary, turning pressure into precision requires 9 steps. Recognize pressure without judgment, convert adrenaline into strategic action, maintain composure under high stakes, visualize success before execution, detach from emotional hijacking, practice micro-discipline daily, embrace accountability under stress, reflect and refine after pressure tests, combine stillness with deliberate action. When mastered, pressure becomes a weapon, stress becomes fuel, and high-stakes moments become opportunities for your greatest performance. You now know how to harness tension, control reactions, and execute with clarity in any situation. That is discipline. That is authority. That is transformation. Pressure sharpens, Pressure focuses, pressure empowers.
Stop letting others dictate your focus. Stop allowing interruptions to steal your energy. Stop thinking that being available all the time equals productivity or loyalty. That's the key. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your mission. Most people mistake accessibility for strength. They believe saying yes to everyone makes them indispensable. Wrong. True power is not in doing everything. True power is in protecting what matters. True power is in mastering your space, your time, and your focus. You have a choice. You can allow distractions and negativity to control your day, or you can enforce boundaries that amplify your influence. That choice is yours, always. Step 1. Recognize energy drains. Most people don't see where their focus is stolen. Gossip, reactive emails, toxic individuals, and constant notifications chip away at attention and calm. Not you. You audit your day. You identify what consumes energy without producing results. You separate the essential from the trivial. You prioritize relentlessly. Repeat. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your mission. Consider leaders who succeed quietly. They delegate, filter requests, and say no without apology. They time block their priorities. They ignore noise and avoid drama. That is discipline. That is authority. That is boundaries as power. By enforcing limits, they control outcomes without chaos. They win without exhausting themselves. Repeat. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your mission. Step 2. Implement time blocking. Most people react to the schedule others impose. Meetings pile up, calls interrupt, random tasks steal focus. Not you. You define your time. You create blocks for deep work, strategic thinking, and personal restoration. You honor these boundaries like contracts. Every unprotected minute is a vulnerability. Every guarded block is leverage. Time becomes a weapon. Discipline becomes results. Repeat. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your mission. Step 3. Detach emotionally from distractions. Most people respond to criticism, provocation, and drama. That is surrender. Not you. You recognize that not every word, action, or challenge deserves a reaction. You treat external noise as irrelevant unless it aligns with your mission. Emotional detachment preserves clarity. Emotional detachment maintains control. Emotional detachment is invisible armor. Repeat. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your mission. Step 4. Enforce boundaries with clarity. Most people are passive when others overstep. Requests, interruptions, or unrealistic expectations creep in unnoticed. Not you. You set rules. You communicate them. You execute them consistently. Saying no is not weakness. Saying no is authority. Saying no is mastery over your energy. Every boundary reinforced strengthens your presence. Repeat. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your mission. Step 5. Avoid unnecessary engagement. Most people feel obligated to respond to every message, comment, or invitation. That is surrender. Not you. You triage. You prioritize. You eliminate engagements that do not serve objectives. You reserve focus for actions that move the needle. Avoidance becomes a strategic weapon. Avoidance conserves energy. Avoidance amplifies impact. Repeat. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your mission. Step 6. Defend mental space aggressively. Most people consume what others produce. Social media drama, news noise, constant input. Not you. You curate your intake. You guard attention like treasure. You feed your mind with clarity, strategy, and inspiration. Mental discipline becomes a superpower. Controlled attention becomes leverage. Focused clarity becomes influence.
Repeat, protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission. Consider a leader managing high-stakes negotiations. Their day is filled with requests, potential conflicts, and last-minute disruptions. Most would collapse under the noise. Not them. They guard time, focus, and mental clarity. They delegate strategically. They ignore unnecessary provocation. They act only where impact matters. By enforcing boundaries, they operate in peak performance zones. Every decision is deliberate. Every action is optimized. Every outcome is controlled. Repeat, protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission. Step 8. Combine physical and emotional boundaries. Most people separate time from mental focus. That is a mistake. Physical routines reinforce mental discipline. Offices, workspaces, and digital environments should support focus. Personal rituals, exercise, meditation, and controlled rest protect energy reservoirs. Boundaries are both external and internal. They are holistic. They are non-negotiable. Repeat, protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission. Step 9. Enforce accountability within your boundaries. Most people allow repeated disruptions to go unchecked. Not you. Boundaries without enforcement are meaningless. You track violations, adjust protocols, and hold yourself and others accountable. Accountability reinforces respect. Accountability preserves focus. Accountability amplifies influence. Repeat, protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission. Practical exercise to implement boundaries as power. Audit energy leaks. List all distractions, interruptions, and drains in your daily life. Identify which can be minimized or eliminated. Time block your priorities. Schedule periods for high-value tasks. Guard them like contracts. Practice saying no. Respond to only what aligns with objectives. Reject the rest without guilt. Limit exposure to negativity. Curate social media, conversations, and environments to minimize toxic input. Reinforce and adjust. Evaluate boundaries weekly. Strengthen what works. Remove what doesn't. Boundaries are not restrictions. They are power. Boundaries are not selfish. They are strategic. Boundaries are not reactive. They are preemptive. Every boundary enforced preserves calm, clarity, and focus. Every boundary creates leverage. Every boundary strengthens authority. Repeat, protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission. Remember, energy is your currency. Distraction is the thief. Negativity is a predator. Boundaries are your armor. They allow you to operate at peak performance, execute with precision, and maintain composure when others falter. You have learned that protecting your energy is not optional. It is essential for dominance. Repeat, protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission. Combine this chapter with previous lessons. Detach from provocation to maintain composure. Control micro-reactions to project calm authority. Anchor in stillness to preserve focus under chaos. Use pressure as fuel for deliberate action. When applied together, boundaries become your shield, focus becomes your weapon, and composure becomes your advantage. You no longer let external forces dictate your day. You control what matters. You preserve energy for impact. You achieve mastery over attention, action, and influence. That is the quiet power of boundaries. Repeat, protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission. In summary, boundaries as power require 9 steps. Recognize energy drains. Implement time blocking. Detach emotionally from distractions. Enforce boundaries with clarity. Avoid unnecessary engagement. Defend mental space aggressively. Remove negative energy. Combine physical and emotional boundaries. Enforce accountability. When mastered, boundaries transform chaos into clarity, distractions into leverage, and negative energy into neutralized influence. You now know how to protect your energy, mind, and mission against external intrusion. That is discipline. That is authority. That is transformation. Protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your mission.
Everything starts in your mind. The stories you tell yourself shape how you feel, how you react, and ultimately how you perform. Most people live in narratives dictated by circumstance. They see obstacles as disasters. They see criticism as a threat. They see conflict as a loss. That's a trap. That's surrender. You are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Step 1. Recognize the narrative you are living. Most people don't notice the internal commentary running on repeat. They're against me. This is unfair. I can't handle this. That inner voice becomes reality. That voice triggers emotion. That voice drives reaction, not you. You pause. You listen. You identify the story that keeps you reactive, anxious, and powerless. You see it clearly. Repeat. You are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Step 2. Challenge the old script. Most people accept what the mind feeds them. They take every thought as truth, not you. You interrogate the narrative. You ask, is this true? Does this serve me? Does this empower me? You dismantle lies disguised as facts. You separate perception from reality. That separation is power. That separation is clarity. That separation allows calm to dominate chaos. Repeat, you are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Step 3. Replace victimhood with agency. Most people frame themselves as powerless in the face of conflict, criticism, or pressure. Not you. You see the opportunity in confrontation. You see growth in adversity. You see choice in every challenge. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every provocation becomes a mirror. Every challenge becomes fuel. You rewrite I can't into I decide how I respond. Repeat, you are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Consider high-performing leaders, athletes, or negotiators. Their calm isn't luck. Their calm is deliberate. They train their minds to shift internal dialogue instantly. A critique becomes a blueprint. A conflict becomes strategy. A pressure-filled moment becomes focus. The story they tell themselves determines action, not circumstance. That's the quiet weapon of internal mastery. Repeat, you are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Step 4. Narrate victory in real time. Most people wait for external validation to feel competent, not you. You create your own validation. You affirm your choices. You speak to yourself with authority, not doubt. I am composed. I am decisive. I am in control. Repeating these statements rewires the mind. Repeating these statements shifts focus. Repeating these statements turns reactive moments into deliberate action. Repeat, you are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Step 5. Leverage reframing under pressure. Most people see obstacles as problems, not you. You see them as leverage. A hostile email becomes a chance to respond strategically. A tense negotiation becomes an opportunity to assert composure. A public critique becomes a stage to demonstrate control. Reframing doesn't ignore reality. It changes its meaning. That's mastery. That's calm in the crossfire. Repeat, you are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Step 6. Internalize resilience. Most people rely on external factors to feel strong, not you. You cultivate inner strength independent of circumstance. You train mental flexibility. You practice emotional regulation. You visualize control before engagement. Resilience becomes instinct. Calm becomes habitual. Your narrative becomes unshakable. Repeat, you are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Step 8.
Implement narrative discipline daily. Most people assume internal dialogue is automatic and uncontrollable. Not you. You journal your thoughts, you self-assess your reactions, you highlight patterns of surrender and rewrite them immediately. Small micro-adjustments compound into consistent mental authority. Every day reinforces the story you want. Every word you speak to yourself solidifies control. Every thought shaped is a reaction tamed. Repeat, you are the author, you are the calm, you decide the story. Step 9. Case study in transformation. Look at people who faced confrontation and transformed it into opportunity. A team member attacks publicly, and they respond calmly, turning the criticism into clarity for the group. A competitor provokes aggressively, and they negotiate strategically, securing a better outcome. A crisis erupts, and they remain composed, guiding their team without chaos. Their calm isn't passive, it's authoritative. Their narrative controls action. Their power comes from mastery of the story. Repeat, you are the author, you are the calm, you decide the story. Step 10. Reinforce through repetition. Most people read advice once and expect change. Not you. Daily repetition is necessary. Daily reflection, daily affirmation, daily practice. Every morning you review the narrative you intend to live. Every evening you assess the reality created by that narrative. Every day you reinforce the story of agency, composure, and control. Repeat, you are the author, you are the calm, you decide the story. Actionable exercise for narrative mastery. Audit your thoughts. Record recurring internal narratives. Identify patterns of victimhood or reaction. Challenge assumptions. Ask whether each thought serves strategy, calm, or influence. Reframe events. Convert challenges into opportunities for growth, strategy, and composure. Affirm your authority. Speak to yourself as the author of your reactions. I decide. I act deliberately. I remain calm. Align action. Ensure every reaction, word, and decision is consistent with the narrative you choose. Remember, the story you tell yourself is the lens through which the world is filtered. Change the story, change the perception, change the outcome. Control the narrative, and you control the crossfire. No one else can dictate your story unless you allow it. That's the ultimate freedom. That's the ultimate calm. Repeat, you are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Integration with previous chapters. Boundaries protect your mental space to reinforce narrative control. Micro-reactions and stillness amplify authority. Pressure becomes fuel when the internal story is aligned with deliberate action. Detachment ensures external noise does not overwrite the narrative you choose. When mastered, rewriting the narrative turns chaos into clarity, turns provocation into opportunity, turns reactive behavior into deliberate influence, turns fear into composure. You now understand that calm begins in the mind. It starts with the story you tell yourself. It continues with the actions you take that reinforce that story. Your mind is the battlefield. Your narrative is the weapon. Your composure is the victory. You are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Every choice you make from this point forward can honor the story you want to live. Every pause, every breath, every word can reinforce your authority. You do not need their permission. You do not need external approval. Your calm, your story, and your focus are sovereign. You are not a passenger. You are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story. Repeat one last time. You are the author. You are the calm. You decide the story.
Calm is not a gift. Calm is not luck. Calm is a muscle. And like any muscle, it requires training. If you wait for chaos to train you, you will be reactive. If you wait for pressure to teach you, you will be caught off guard. Calm is deliberate. Calm is practiced. Calm is daily. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 1. Establish micro-practices. Most people think calm comes in monumental moments. Not you. Calm is built in the small, repeated actions. Breathing exercises, journaling, mental rehearsal, visualizing difficult conversations before they happen. These are not optional, they are mandatory. Every session strengthens mental control. Every repetition reinforces poise. Every habit compounds into instinctual calm. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Start with your breath. Breathing is the foundation of composure. Most people let chaos dictate breathing. Shallow, erratic, panicked. Not you. You inhale deliberately. You hold control. You exhale slowly. Count, focus, engage the body to calm the mind. Breath anchors presence. Breath restores clarity. Breath interrupts reactive impulses. Do it daily, morning, noon, night. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 2. Journal your responses. Most people react and forget. Not you. Track your triggers. Record how you felt. Record how you acted. Analyze what worked. Analyze what failed. Over time, you recognize patterns of surrender. You identify moments of opportunity. Journaling converts experience into strategy. Journaling converts reaction into reflection. Journaling converts chaos into clarity. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 3. Role-play scenarios. Most people wait for real life to test them. Not you. Rehearse confrontations, rehearse challenges, rehearse the moment you receive criticism, provocation, or pressure. Imagine the words, the tone, the tension. Practice delivering calm, deliberate responses. Practice with friends, colleagues, or even in front of the mirror. Muscle memory extends to emotional control. Practice turns instinctive reaction into calculated composure. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 4. Visualize high-pressure moments. Most people freeze under stress. Not you. Visualization primes performance. Close your eyes. See the room, the people, the stakes. Envision calm, dominating tension. Envision clarity cutting through chaos. Picture yourself responding deliberately, influencing others, remaining unshaken. Mental rehearsal is as critical as physical action. Mental rehearsal builds confidence. Mental rehearsal builds authority. Mental rehearsal builds calm. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 5. Integrate mini-pauses into daily life. Most people rush through conversations, emails, decisions. Not you. Introduce intentional pauses. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Each pause disrupts the reflex to react emotionally. Each pause allows observation, control, and strategy. Each pause reinforces mastery. Make it habitual. Let it become instinct. Small pauses create large calm. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 6. Apply reflection consistently. Most people analyze only after disaster. Not you. Daily reflection consolidates learning. Ask, where did I remain calm? Where did I slip? How could I have acted differently? How did my narrative shape my reaction? Reflection converts experience into strategy. Insight converts insight into strategy. Strategy converts into habitual calm. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 7. Reinforce positive self-dialogue. Most people let negative commentary dominate internally. Not you. You speak with authority to yourself. I am composed. I am deliberate. I control the moment. Words matter. Thoughts dictate action. Positive reinforcement rewires responses. Positive reinforcement strengthens composure. Positive reinforcement solidifies calm. Repeat daily. Repeat loudly in your mind. Repeat until instinct. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 8. Measure progress with real-world feedback. Most people remain blind to improvement, not you. Observe reactions from colleagues, family, clients, competitors. Notice if your presence calms tension. Notice if decisions land smoother. Notice if conflict diminishes around you. Feedback reinforces mastery. Feedback exposes blind spots. Feedback accelerates growth. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 9. Adopt consistency as non-negotiable. Most people practice sporadically, not you. Daily training builds momentum. Daily practice builds resilience. Daily repetition builds automaticity. Every morning, every pause, every reflection, every breath compounds. Small, consistent actions overpower occasional brilliance. Calm is not occasional. Calm is habitual. Calm is daily. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Step 10. Combine techniques for compound effect. Breath, journaling, visualization, role play, pauses, reflection, and self-dialogue are not separate, they are interlinked. Practice breath to anchor mind, reflect to adjust narrative, visualize to anticipate chaos, role-play to build instinct, self-talk to reinforce authority. The sum is greater than its parts. Master each, then integrate all. The result is a mind unshakable, a presence commanding, a calm unstoppable. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Consider this. Athletes, military operators, and CEOs don't stumble into calm, they train relentlessly. A fighter breathes through fear, visualizes attacks, and rehearses response. A negotiator pauses deliberately before replying, rehearsing multiple outcomes mentally. A leader journals responses to stressful emails before sending. Each practice builds automatic authority. Each practice builds dominance without aggression. Each practice builds calm that is contagious. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. The most important lesson: discipline creates calm. Habit creates calm. Consistency creates calm. You can't outsource composure. You can't borrow patience. You can't delegate serenity. You earn it. You practice it. You live it daily. That's the path from reactive to strategic. That's the path from chaos to control. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Actionable exercises for the listener. Daily breath session, 5 to 10 minutes. Count inhalation, hold, exhale slowly. Focus entirely on the body and mind. Journaling checkpoint. Each day, log triggers, responses, and alternative actions. Reflect on lessons learned. Role play once per week. Rehearse a difficult scenario, verbalizing calm, controlled responses. Visualization exercise. Picture a high-pressure situation. Practice composed response in mind. Intentional pause. Insert 1 to 3 seconds before emails, texts, and conversations. Reinforce control. Daily affirmations. Speak self-authoritative statements, internalizing calm as your default state. Every day you skip practice, you weaken your composure. Every day you invest in practice, you strengthen your dominance. Calm becomes instinct. Reaction becomes strategy. Pressure becomes opportunity. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow, prevail always. Integration with previous chapters. Micro-reactions are observed and trained daily. Internal narratives are rewritten and reinforced. Boundaries are maintained consistently through daily discipline. Stress becomes fuel when daily practice builds resilience. In the crossfire of life, calm is your greatest weapon. It is earned, not given. It is built, not inherited. It is practiced, not waited for. If you follow these steps, repeat the exercises, and reinforce every day, you will emerge unshakable. You will respond deliberately. You will dominate without chaos. Repeat, practice today, perform tomorrow,
prevail always. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You have your mind, you have your narrative, you have your daily discipline. Build it, strengthen it, live it. Practice today, perform tomorrow.
The unshakable mind is not born. It is forged. It is hammered in moments of pressure. It is tempered in fires of provocation. Most people stumble, react, and surrender under chaos. Not you. You will stand. You will observe. You will act deliberately. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 1. Embrace absolute control over your inner state. Most people mistake external chaos for internal disorder. Not you. You own your mind. You choose focus over distraction. You choose clarity over confusion. You choose calm over reaction. Every thought is deliberate. Every action is intentional. Every response is strategic. That's the key. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 2. Reject the tyranny of provocation. Most people let insults, criticism, or threats dictate their behavior. Not you. Provocation is a test. Provocation is a mirror reflecting someone else's fear, weakness, or agenda. You don't take it personally. You don't surrender to emotion. You see it, acknowledge it, and decide your response deliberately. Every pause is power. Every withheld reaction is authority. Every calm response is dominance. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 3. Build invulnerability through preparation. Legends in business, sports, and diplomacy succeed not by chance, but by readiness. They anticipate challenges, they rehearse responses, they study opponents, they internalize strategies. You must do the same. Prepare your mind, prepare your reactions, prepare your words. Every scenario rehearsed diminishes fear. Every outcome anticipated strengthens confidence. Every mental rehearsal cements calm. Repeat. Be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 4. Master the art of detachment. Chaos will always surround you. People will always provoke. Situations will always threaten. Your mind must rise above. Detach from outcome. Detach from ego. Detach from expectation. Observe clearly. Decide deliberately. Act strategically. Your calm is your shield. Your focus is your sword. Your detachment is your armor. That's the key. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 5. Integrate deliberate pauses into all decisions. Most people react instantly and regret permanently. Not you. 1 second can change everything. Pause, breathe, analyze, decide. Every pause disrupts the reflexive reaction. Every pause converts emotion into strategy. Every pause builds reputation. Silence is your power. Deliberation is your authority. Calm is your influence. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 6. Internalize resilience as non-negotiable. Life will test you. Critics will attack. Pressure will mount. Opportunities will be disguised as chaos. Your mind must remain firm. Your resolve must remain unbroken. Your calm must remain absolute. Resilience is a choice. Resilience is deliberate. Resilience is daily. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 7. Refine micro-reactions to perfection.
every twitch, glance, or muttered word communicates strength or weakness. Most people betray insecurity in subtle ways. Not you. Observe your expressions, control your gestures, speak deliberately. Every action conveys authority. Every controlled reaction strengthens presence. Every minor decision reinforces the unshakable mind. Repeat, be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 8. Master the art of patience as a strategic advantage. Most people rush to act, to prove, to respond. Not you. Patience allows clarity. Patience allows observation. Patience allows strategy. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is dominance. Waiting lets others reveal intentions. Waiting ensures every move is calculated. Patience is power. Patience is composure. Patience is calm. Repeat, be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Step 9. Embed daily mental discipline. Calm is not spontaneous. Calm is habit. Daily practice, breathing, journaling, visualization, role play, self-reflection creates instinctual poise. Discipline converts reaction into choice. Discipline converts chaos into strategy. Discipline converts fear into authority. Without repetition, calm is fragile. With repetition, calm is unstoppable. That's the key. Repeat, be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. The ultimate lesson, calm is power. Calm is authority. Calm is influence. Calm is strategy. Reacting immediately is surrender. Hesitation due to fear is failure. Composure under pressure is victory. The crossfire of life, arguments, challenges, provocation, chaos is inevitable, but your mind remains your fortress. Your calm remains your weapon. Your influence remains unchallenged. Repeat, be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Consider real-world legends. A CEO remains composed as markets collapse, guiding teams with clarity instead of panic. A diplomat negotiates a tense treaty, smiling calmly while opponents overreact. An athlete executes the perfect play under immense pressure because their mind is unshakable, every breath controlled, every motion deliberate. These are not stories of luck. These are stories of preparation, discipline, and absolute control over mind and emotion. They chose calm. They chose mastery. They chose dominance without chaos. Repeat, be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. The ultimate lesson, calm is power. Calm is authority. Calm is influence. Calm is strategy. Reacting immediately is surrender. Hesitation due to fear is failure. Composure under pressure is victory. The crossfire of life, arguments, challenges, provocation, chaos is inevitable, but your mind remains your fortress. Your calm remains your weapon. Your influence remains unchallenged. Repeat, be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Actionable steps for the listener. Daily mental rehearsal. Visualize worst-case scenarios. Practice calm responses. Micro-pauses. Before every email, meeting, or confrontation, pause intentionally. Observe without judgment. Watch others' chaos, but never internalize it. Record reflections. Journaling triggers and reactions consolidates mastery. Controlled gestures. Micro-reactions should convey calm authority at all times. Patience exercises. Wait deliberately before responding to provocation. Measure the effect. Each step compounds. Each repetition fortifies. Each day of discipline builds the unshakable mind. Repeat, Be calm, be firm, be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. Remember, you have a choice. You have the ability to remain composed under fire. You have the power to influence without noise. You have the strength to convert pressure into opportunity. That's the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need external validation. You have your mind. You have your calm. You have your discipline. Own it. Train it. Live it. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. This is mastery. This is ultimate authority. This is the unshakable mind. The crossfire will rage. The provocation will come. The chaos will attempt to break you. Stand firm. Breathe deliberately. Observe strategically. Respond deliberately. Influence consistently. Lead silently. Win effortlessly. That is your destiny. That is your choice. That is your calm. Repeat. Be calm. Be firm. Be
unstoppable. Crossfire is your arena. Calm is your weapon. This is the truth. Calm is not passive. Calm is not weakness. Calm is mastery. Every reaction you've surrendered, every argument you've joined, every storm you've chased could have been transformed into power. You've learned to pause, to observe, to anchor yourself, to use silence, and to turn chaos into clarity. Now it's your turn. Stand in the fire without flinching. Move through attacks without surrendering. Command your space, your mind, and your life. The world will test you. The crossfire is inevitable. The question is, will you react or will you rise? Calm, unshakable, unstoppable. Start today. Master your calm. Dominate your life.